Every single Warhammer 40k faction re-explained part 1. That's kind of crazy because part 1 is 2 hours long. So I'm surprised there's a part 2 still. Popcorn time. Let's learn the updated factions.
The first known species to appear during this time are known only as the Old Ones, cosmic entities that traveled across the galaxy with ease and seeded life through the stars. Shortly thereafter, a new species began to arise. The Necron tier. Evolving under the harshness of a devastatingly powerful star, the short-lived and irradiated Necron tier try to find the secret to eternal life and to be freed from their terrible existence. As they expand through the stars, they find the Old Ones and they plead to them to share the secrets of the universe.
I'm sorry, I say this every video, but I find it so funny how the Old Ones are always depicted as like just a six-pack. Everything else is like blurry, but it's like abs. I also want to be freed from my terrible existence.
And grant them purchase from their short and painful existence. The Old Ones respond with a lol and a lamau, and with their immense
that one's
power,
Catan,
they force them back to their homeworld. The Necron.
The old ones are the froggies. I always mix them up. The old ones are the space frogs, space toads. The Catan are the six-packs. Correct? Old ones, space toads. Catan are six-packs. I always mix them up for some reason. Yeah, okay, space reptiles. Okay. Also, the space reptiles are really cool. I love that imagery. There's just giant space lizards in space.
Here, filled with rage and hatred, make it their duty to get revenge on the Old Ones. A revenge that would come swiftly as a chance encounter with other gods gave them a solution. These other gods were known as the Catan, a race of highly powerful star-consuming entities. Do not fear, young mortals, for we, the Catan, will provide you with the immortality you seek. Come now, won't you shake a poor sinner's hand? Quoted from Mephetron, the Deceiver. The Necron tier.
Ah, okay. This is a very different video than the first part of his factions. Very different style video. It's like, it's more similar to the Trazyn video with the timeline. Chronological events, yeah. The six-pack you see is a shell made by Necrons to house Catan as they don't have physical bodies. I would house a Catan if I got a six-pack out of it.
Accepted the Catan's offer of immortality, but believe it or not, this turned out to be a ruse. A trick. The Catan crafted gigantic furnaces and began the process of biotransference. The Necron tier willingly walked line by line into the furnace engine.
Wait, was it willingly? I missed that the whole other videos. Nothing can go wrong trusting someone titled the Deceiver. A lot willingly. Oh, so they said if you go and do this biotransference thing, we'll make you immortal, and then surprise, gotcha! You're mine now. I misunderstood. I thought they were forced to.
Made by gods who devour stars and had their souls consumed instead. The short-lived, irradiated, and cancer-inflicted race of the Necron tier ceased to be, and the immortal, soulless Necrons remained. Now backed by the immense power of the Catan, the Necrons rally against the Old Ones, and the bitter conflict in the stars at this time is known as the War in Heaven. Despite creating various races and entities to aid them in this battle, the Old Ones are overwhelmed and eradicated down to the last, due to the sheer power of the Catan fat off the souls of the Necron tier, and with an army of unthinkable robotic slaves at their behest. However, the Catan are greedy, spiteful gods, and when there was no foe worth...
Like, all gods? All gods in every setting ever? Greedy? Spiteful, usually? Egotistical? Yes.
Killing, they turn on each other. The Necrons then put their sights towards the Catan and lay waste to them, securing their freedom. The once subservient Necrons now control their...
Oh, they got the little shrimp spine going. Necrons are like... they look like streamers, that posture. They're like... It's important to note that the realm of souls was basically just a calm afterlife before the war in heaven. The chaos, death, war, and destruction caused the realm of souls to be corrupted into the warp. Oh, interesting. The gamer dent? What's a gamer dent? I don't have a gamer dent on my head. Do you mean from headphones? I swear, chat, I don't have a dent in my head. I might have been dropped as a child, but I don't have a dent.
Their former masters. Worn out and weakened by these wars, the Necrons, under their leader Zarek, the Silent King, lie dormant, with a plan to eventually wake and reclaim control over the galaxy. Over millions of years, empires rise and they fall. The species created by the Old Ones have footholds over the galaxy, but on a pale blue dot in the thick of all this conflict, humanity begins to evolve. And for the most part, the basic path of humanity's evolution remains the same as it is now for almost 15,000 years. Right now, in the 21st century, this is canon. You, right now, Twitch streamer react.
Oh no, he's calling me out. He broke the fourth wall. Bricky broke the fourth wall. Oh no. He's calling me out. He knows. I've been caught. No. He specifically said a Twitch streamer reacting. No. Caught in 4K. He sees all. He is the Lord Master. He sees all. He knows all.
To this video, you existed at a point in the Warhammer universe. But with time, humanity's ambition and the power of their technology becomes unmatched, and the golden age of expansion begins. Humanity starts to branch out through the stars with powerful tools used for agriculture, mining, and expansion. Some branches of humanity would eventually settle far away from Earth.
Me having my daily mental breakdown. This is lore accurate. This is
itself. And around this time, the psychic ability of humans are greatly expanded, and what we begin to know as psychers appear. But despite all the progress, things would begin to collapse. The machines created to aid humanity would turn on them in M23, an event known as the Cybernetic Revolt, and trade would begin to collapse due to the immaterial warp, aka actual hell, beginning to cause ruptures in space and time. These warp stones would separate humanity, and this would be what is known as the Age of Strife. The warp, a sea of souls, storing all thought, emotion, and the souls of those who have passed on, begin fluctuating into something terrible, as far on the horizon, something horrendous was brewing. You see, the warp isn't just a random assortment of chaotic energy. It is fairly well organized, thanks to those living in the galaxy. The warp itself acts as an afterlife of sorts, and the actions of the innumerable amount of creatures who live in the galaxy have manifested a pantheon.
That is something I was wondering about, the afterlife. Where do people go? Like, it hasn't talked about like a heaven or hell situation, just warp and not warp? Does everyone go to the warp when they die? Or is there like somewhere else they go? Do they reincarnate? It's just the warp? But isn't the warp bad? Is there not nice gods in the warp if you're a good person? Do you not like go to a nice place, or you just go there to be like tortured? Nope. Oh. Souls are immaterial. The warp is the immaterium. So you're just like absorbed back into it, or you're going to like one of the chaos gods? It's just a natural thing rather than intentional reward and punishment. Oh. The Realm of Souls was nice before the Necrons and the old ones messed it up. I see. And most good warp entities were killed by chaos. Oh, I was wondering if there was good I mean, is anything good in Warhammer 40k? But like more good entities in the warp, but I guess not when all the baddies are more powerful. Unless you have a god or some measure to save you, you go to the warp and your soul just falls apart. There are other gods in the warp, like the orc gods, Gork and Mork. Gork and Mork, is that actually their name? Is that actually their names? That's hilarious. If you play Dragon Age, it's like the Fade. Oh, that's what I was picking up. It's like the Fade, yeah. Except the warp seems more just bad. Just scary. Like, is there cities in the warp? Or planets? I need a religion guide. I want to know the pantheon of Warhammer. All I know are the 4 chaos gods right now, so. Warp is bad because things are bad in 40k. There are domains. Oh, okay, that makes sense. There are realms, domains. Okay. I'm curious. Nothing's been really said about the warp other than bad, negative things go here. Oh, I guess all emotion goes here, and your bad things create more bad things. Gork is brutal but cunning, and Mork is cunning but brutal. I love that for them. Are they twins? Oh, I see. The warp just reflects. It like it reflects and amplifies. So if things are bad in the world, things are extra bad in the warp. Interesting. Okay.
Of organized entities known as the Forces of Chaos. At their helm are 3 major entities: Khorne, Nurgle, and Tzeentch. However,
Tzeentch, my boy!
Fourth one, Slaanesh, was about to be born. The ancient Eldar were one of the first species created by the old.
Are those the Harlequins? They're so jarring. They're so jarring.
Old ones, and due to their extreme and unbridled excess, the birthing of Slaanesh tore a hole in the galaxy and forever split the Eldar into those of the craft world, who sought to bring their species back together, and those of the Drukhari, who wished to continue what caused the birth of Slaanesh in the first place. The birthing of this 4th chaos god settled the warp storms of the Immaterium and ended the age of strife, but humanity was still fractured. So one man revealed himself and spearheaded an
the Emperor! Right? I have to do this so I remember things. I have to guess before he says it, otherwise I won't remember.
immense attempt to reunite all the fractured pieces of humanity. That man was the Emperor of Mankind. After reclaiming the nearly destroyed Earth, the Emperor embarked on the unification wars to unite humanity under the banner of the Imperium of Man. However, due to the very long and...
I'm sorry, another tangent. I wonder how the Emperor was born. Was he made in like a test tube? Is he like a science experiment? Or was he just like born and he just became amazing? Like, does anyone know his origins? In every single story, he's just boom, he's there as a full-grown man fighting battles. There's no confirmation. I mean, I guess he could have been manifested, right? No one knows where he came from. Different stories. I want to know. I feel like he was made in a lab. Or he could have just been manifested. Lots of things in Warhammer are manifested. He was the result of 1,000 ancient shamans concentrating energy into an individual according to books. Where'd the shamans come from? Oh, I like how like nothing's confirmed. It makes it more mysterious. Oh, shamans were the early psychers. Okay, that makes sense. Like real life shamans. Ooh, it could have been an old one. Okay. That makes sense to me. That's kind of ironic if he's an old one and he sits on like a Necron throne, isn't it? If that's true, I find irony in that.
Devastating impact of the Age of Strife, humanity as we know it is not the same. To reconquer Earth, the Emperor would need more than mere men. Great beings, known as the Thunder Warriors, were recruited by the Emperor to reclaim the Earth with ease. But these warriors are a blunt tool and had, overstayed their welcome.
Ooh.
He would need something better. And that solution would be known as the Space Marines. Superhuman soldiers that will have the skill and cunning exponentially greater than the mortal man. These new warriors would be commanded by an elite group of his very own sons known as the Primarchs. Unfortunately though, Daddy didn't charge the baby monitor, and his 18 sons would be stolen by the forces of chaos and scattered across the galaxy. This would begin the Great Crusade, a monumental task to take back the stars in the name of humanity and reclaim the...
So the Emperor made the Primarchs, right, with the gene seed? The Emperor just loves stirring his creations out when he's done with them. He's like a toddler. When he's done with a toy, he chucks it and he wants a new one. A new shiny one. Not the gene seed, but he did make the Primarchs. How did he make the Primarchs? Do we know? So he made these people. He made the Primarchs in a lab. The gene seed is what Primarchs used to make the Space Marines. Oh, okay, my bad. I messed that up. He used his own genes and the mother's genes to make the Primarchs. And then he used them to use them to go to war and conquer everything. And then he made the Space Marines from the gene seed. Some say he crafted the bodies and infused them with lesser chaos gods. Oh. I see. And the gene seed was made so the Space Marines have traits from their Primarch. I see.
Lost Primarch sons. However, he would need the fires of industry to make this happen. Looking to the distant cousins of Mars, the Emperor signed a treaty with the technologically irradiated hellscape of the Red Planet and allowed the cult of the machine god, the Mechanicum, to supply his crusade. While Space Marines were the tip of the spear, their numbers paled to the vast might of the Imperial Army and Navy. The Astra Militarum and their seemingly endless numbers make up the bulk of the fighting force for humanity, supplied by the intelligence and prowess of various agents of the Imperium, such as rogue traders and assassins.
Whoa, that's cool. Where are these images coming from? That's crazy. That's amazing. The Gib Guns Treaty. Yeah, they were the arms dealers.
Due to the lack of connectivity between the worlds, what a society had become over thousands of years became mysterious and varied. Tools once used for harvesting and agriculture now are being used as machines of war in the form of imperial knights. Some of these fractures of humanity would even be changed further and become unrecognizable to the average human, with differences in size, skin color, appendages, cat ears, sometimes. Some would go so far to become their...
You're telling me they had cat girls back then too? I mean, back then, that's the future. We still have cat girls in the future? Let's go. Let's go. I mean, if I could change my form, I would give myself cat ears. Why wouldn't I? I would be a cute cat girl in the future if I could be. Cat girls are the future.
Their own galactic societies, like the miners of the galactic core and their immense supercomputers, forming the Leagues of Votan. After an incredible amount of effort and books, the lost sons of the Emperor would be reunited, and the Imperium of Man would be firmly established. This, however, would not last. Be it intentional or accidental, the Emperor would not reveal to his sons the true nature of the galaxy and the terrors of the warp. And this oversight would result in one of the most impactful wars in humanity's history. The favorite son of the Emperor, Horus, would...
It's this guy. It's this guy. This is where it all goes wrong. This is where it all goes to shit. Horus gets corrupted by the warp. We think. Look at that. Look at that golden boy right there. Look at that. Everything was going great. And then the favorite spoiled son had to go Fuck it all up.
Fall to the powers of chaos and turn on his father. This betrayal, this backstabbing, this heresy, this Horus heresy.
Oh my god. Clap. Horus heresy clap. He said the thing!
Would result in a split in the Imperium with devastating consequences. Half of the Emperor's loyal sons would fall to chaos and become the Chaos Space Marines, along with the forces of the Dark Mechanicum and the Chaos Knights. The conflict would result in the absolute obliteration of Horus and the physical death of the Emperor himself. The near-dead body of the Emperor would be placed on the Golden Throne to
Whoa, that art is so metal. Every time I see the Emperor, he scares me. He's like a skeleton hooked up to technology. Like, that's wild. He kind of looks like a Necron now, doesn't he?
to serve as a beacon of humanity and allow for the continued ability to travel the stars, protected by his most loyal, the Adeptus Custodes. The Imperium would be vulnerable during this age of rebirth, and Terra would find itself under siege by one of the most formidable species in the galaxy, the Orcs. As time went on and memories of the Emperor's vision began to fade, the Emperor would become less of a head of state and more of a religious figure, and the Imperium would change to reflect this. The leadership on a planet would be at the behest of the High Lords of Terra, and their actions would...
Are you guys calling me out for heresy in the chat right now? Whoopsie. Did I say that out loud? I mean, he looks like a normal human. Humankind only. Human mankind. No Xenosy. No Xenos here. My bad. That was just a joke.
Would be courtesy of the income.
Not normal, super powerful, super buff, god, normal god. Sorry, he's not normal at all. He's super buff, Giga Chad Emperor.
Terrible power and authority of the Inquisition. The zealots of the Imperium would intensify and create a brand new era known as the Age of Apostasy. And this ecclesiarchal command of the Imperium would end up with one of the strongest fighting forces of Terra, the Adeptus Seroarrt. Over time, this age would come to pass, and we would approach the 40th millennium of Warhammer 40,000.
Yay, we're in 40K now. Let's go.
Which, you guessed it, would come with its own form of problems. A primitive species once found during a recon mission would be able to evolve in relative secrecy for 6,000 years, becoming a highly advanced
Oh, is this the Tau? Is this the updated Tau? We get to see how the Tau updated?
coalition of aliens known as the Tau Empire. And if the threats of the galaxy weren't bad enough, there are threats from outside the galaxy. As a monster has begun to wrap its tendrils around the Milky Way, the Tyranids, monsters that serve a psychic hive mind and present tactics previously unseen in the Milky Way. Be it a direct assault with their monstrous bug-like presence, or through the more covert gene stealer cults, the presence of yet another threat in the galaxy is proving to be overwhelming to the Imperium. In the 41st millennium, there is no peace among the stars. At any point, your life can and will be threatened by the Xenos races uncountable. Or
Let's go, Xenos! Let's threaten everybody! The Tower of Dorks basically just exist to be Tyranid food. What? Huh. So right now, it's basically mankind versus the Xenos. Basically. I think, in 40K right now. Alright. All right.
Or by the arch enemy of chaos within, or by the decroded terror
and demons.
that is the Imperium itself. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. Forget the power of technology and science.
It's just everybody versus everybody. Mankind versus everybody. Mankind might need to calm down, man. Like, it's just anything that can fight is gonna fight each other. Mankind and Xenos are natural enemies, just like mankind and chaos, or mankind and robots, or mankind and mankind. Damn mankind, they ruined humanity. I see. What are we even fighting over? Like planets? Are we just fighting because we hate each other? Like, are we even fighting over land at this point, or we're just fighting to fight? Just to exist? Damn, this is a rough time to be alive.
Or the safety of promise and understanding. For in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
Woo! This is nice. This is nice.
A fantastic job once again, Mr. Kurz, the Night Haunter himself. Oh, didn't you love that, my faithful audience? Once again, we have another criminal over the course of 6 hours break every single bone in his body.
What is this? Okay, I was not expecting to end up here.
And with that, once again, our glorious leader has brought the crime rate to 0%. Always brought to you here on the Strawman.
Is this propaganda? Am I watching Mankind propaganda right now?
News. I'm your host, Bricky. Thank you once again for joining us. Our top stories for tonight. The weather forecast appears to be rainy with extra dark, so make sure you pack those extra batteries for your lamp packs. And of course, let's not forget the fantastic gang violence problem we're currently having. Oh, I'm sorry. What's that? Oh, right. It's gone. It's looking to be a chilly one tonight as well, so make sure your skin capes are nice and tight. Wait, hold on, one moment.
Oh.
No. Adamantium reserves have tripled? Wait, I'm sorry. Self-harm rates have gone down to 0%.
Why that picture? Love yourself, chat. Love yourself.
The Night Haunter smiled? No.
Oh, this is bad. This is bad.
This could only mean one thing. It is the Strawman News' great privilege to bring some color back in your life with the brand new 3-part Gamer Subs drop.
Oh my god!
On this
is a Gamer Subs ad? No way. Are you serious? Are you kidding me right now? So much effort went into this. This is crazy. Oh, he got me. He got me so good.
Here News Network. That's right. Your esteemed host, Bricky, myself, is dropping a 3-part Gamer Subs release for pre-order, available now and only for a couple of weeks. Not only does it include a completely brand new artwork reskin of the Sweet 6-pack flavor, one of the highest selling flavors in the entirety of Gamer Subs, but it also comes with the first ever all over print Gamer Subs 32-ounce jug. And if that isn't enough for you, if the phenomenal drink and drink holder is not enough for you, we have a desk mat to go along with it.
He got a desk mat! He got a Gamer Subs desk mat? Holy!
That's right. The Herculean look of the brand new Sweet 6-pack style is here. We're still looking at muscles beyond belief, but this time we're talking taste. We're talking Atlas. We're talking smooth.
That
wasn't enough. I, your co-host specifically, should you pre-order all 3 of these items, will personally hand sign a note for you, thanking you for supporting this network. All of this you can receive for 10% off if you go down in the description of this video and click the link, or go to gamersubs.com/Bricky and use code Bricky.
Use the code Bricky. Support his Gamer Subs. That's crazy. He got a whole ass desk mat. What the heck? That looks so clean.
10% off with code Bricky. Bring some color back into your life and increase production across the board for our glorious leader, the Night Haunter. Thank you, Gamer Subs, for sponsoring the Strawman News. And let us move on to our next scheduled program. 5 years ago,
I can't believe that. The dedication to that bit. He had me. I thought he was going to narrate as a podcast or something. I can't believe that. He got me so good. Oh my god.
Every Warhammer 40k faction explained. A passion project of mine for a universe that I enjoyed so much. Its main purpose was to be a drawbridge, the separation between the layman who had only ever seen the big armored blue man situated neatly next to a Wetzel's Pretzels, and then the hardcore Warhammer lore nerd. That was just too wide, and there was nothing bridging these two together. Since
You know what? That's totally true, actually. That's exactly true. There's no way I would have gotten into Warhammer without watching these videos first, I don't think. Unless someone like held my hand and told me about it in bite-sized pieces. Because I saw a bright blue space marine and I was like, not for me. I don't like StarCraft. And now I'm like addicted to it. So that's very true. That's very true.
Since 2020, Warhammer has exploded in popularity thanks to COVID, quality game updates, and a few excellent video games, and a couple miniseries. The sheer volume of people who have told me they have purchased miniatures due to that video alone makes me feel as if Games Workshop owes me commission. However, that video is incomplete. I was not a casual fan, but I was also not a hardcore lore junkie. In the 5 years since that video's release, multiple channels have sprouted up, and the drawbridge between casual to the obsessed has never been wider or easier to traverse. Even I, myself, have been a part of Adeptus Ridiculous, a podcast teaching lore in a much simpler and condensed form. Needless to say, I've learned a lot. Warhammer is so much more than just Spaceman shoots big gun. It has also grown substantially from its origins, being a Warhammer fantasy spin-off just in space. Now, it is a black library filled with immensely deep characters, difficult themes, and even some tear-jerking stories. It is a backdrop for a million stories over a million worlds, and I did not see its true depth in 2020. But now, I'd like to share what I've learned. We just had a brief summary of the world and each faction that takes place during it. And we did that because to truly understand each faction, we must understand what makes them the way they are. And to do so, we need to begin in chronological order, discussing their origins, their culture, their powers, and of course, what makes them oh so grimdark. So let's begin with the group that started it all and sing praise to the Infinite Empire.
It's my boys! Yeah, let's go, Necrons!
As mentioned before, the Necron tier were the original form of the Necrons, an alien race far away from us that lived short, painful lives due to the irradiation of their star. Normally, this would manifest as like a sort of cancer, a space cancer of sorts. The Necrons are very much inspired by the ancient Egyptian.
Damn, this music hits hard! This music's so good! I love how videos start with my favorite group. It makes me happy. I just want to learn about Necrons. I mean, everyone's cool. I like learning about all the factions, but Necrons, they're my boys. They're poor, sad, tragic space boys who are super strong.
Aesthetic, but unlike the windswept dunes commonly associated with it, the irradiated hellscape the Necron tier endured was far from picturesque. This also translates into their hierarchy. They are a race of nobles and peasants. Most of the peasants would often live for their very short amount of time, only a couple of decades, while the nobles tended to have better care and would live a little bit longer, but still far less than the average lifespan of a human, even today in the 21st century. The leader of the Necrons was Zarek, the Silent King.
Yeah.
He was the one who took the deal with the Catan and the Deceiver. Of course, he wasn't aware of the fact that they were known as the Deceiver at the time, but the whole species...
What a big oopsie. Well, he made a deal with the Deceiver. I mean, he wasn't named the Deceiver at the time. Might have been a little mistranslation there. Imagine realizing you made a deal with a dude named the Deceiver. Oh man, that must have been a whoopsies moment.
was blinded by hate after being debased by the old ones on their quest to cure their illness. The sheer pain that underwent the Necron race can't be understated, as their fear was manic. The Catan are, of course, gods that eat stars, and when the leader of your species tells you to march into the gigantic green furnaces to ascend to immortality, you march. The scenes from these are long lines of both the peasantry and nobles clutching their loved ones in a frantic act to save their own lives.
Aww.
Many of them already inflicted in the late stages of the space cancer, some of them crawling into the biotransference furnaces.
Man, it was that bad? I didn't realize it was that bad. That they were that sick and that, like, hurting. I guess if they only live for decades, that's a little rough. So that's why they went into the furnaces so willingly, because they were so sick. They were even, like, bringing their little baby. Wait, is there baby Necrons? Did they bring babies into the biotransference chambers? Like, forever children, like vampires? Not like vampires, but... Oh my god, imagine being a baby Necron? What? That's crazy. They just have no... They're just like... Would they be stuck in a baby body? Like, because they wouldn't age after that, right? Because they'd be in their new... Everybody got. Wow, a baby consciousness transfers into a Necron automata. That's crazy! I never thought of that before. Huh.
Is trying to outrace death itself without realizing death was the one who made these to begin with. What came out the other side was a soulless husk. And I say that literally. A soul is not an abstract concept like it is in our world, an immaterial version of oneself discussed and debated in religion and philosophy. No, in Warhammer, a soul is a real, tangible item of oneself.
Okay.
And the Catan basically were just like to every single person who went in their furnaces. If you were a peasant, you came out a Necron warrior, and you as an individual have ceased to be. You have no mind, you have no soul, and your body, as you know it, is made of an extremely advanced mass of re-knitting living metal known as necrodermis. You cannot think for yourself, for you do not have a brain to think with. All you do now is await protocols from your overlords, which are the nobles who came out of the furnaces with their...
Whoa! So obviously there's a difference between peasants and nobility, but I didn't realize it was like peasants literally just got programmed to be warriors. They don't have the they just follow protocols. They don't think at all. Same metal they used to build bodies for the Catan, by the way. Oh, necrodermis, living metal. The name necrodermis is living metal. That means dead skin. They do not have higher mental faculty of the overlords. Oh, peasants are just gone. What? That's kind of sad. That's actually really sad. Necrons are so sad. That's why I like them.
Minds intact, not their souls, mind you, but their minds are very much intact. These nobles now have command protocols, and they are able to command all of their peasantry and do with them whatever they wish. Xeric, the Silent King, is the most advanced of all the Necrons, a perfect metallic version of himself with incredible power and intelligence. His strength allowed him to lead the undead and the unthinking armies of the Necrons to battle against the Catan when they were at their weakest due to their incessant infighting, and then win back their freedom. But gods cannot die. So in reality, what occurred is the Catan were shattered into thousands of pieces, and each shard of their god was trapped in a stasis vault and mind controlled to do the bidding of the Necrons they once enslaved. The biggest challenge they...
Wow, they look so cool. The Silent King screwed up so bad and had to live on time immortal with that guilt. Man, imagine making that deal. He must hate himself, but he knows he has to keep going, so he has to lead what's left of his people because he's the strongest. Yeah, that's the Silent King. I was just looking at his model online. Look at the... Wait, look at this guy. What's going on here? What's happening here? I like to imagine that's like a piece of a Catan. God. He's just using... Oh, is it actually? Oh my god, I was right! Let's go, okay. I am Necron now. I am Necron.
We face now are actually the upstarts of the galaxy. The Eldar and the Orcs were quite prominent, and as you can imagine, a galactic war really takes its toll on the joints, or I guess the servos. It was in their best interest to wait out the galactic rise of the other races and come back at a more opportune time. So they went into stasis via these massive tomb complexes hidden beneath various worlds, biding their time until it was once again their opportunity to rule the galaxy. Xeric, the Silent King, as penance for his failure to his people, exiled himself into the darkness between stars for the next 60 million years with his
60 million? Holy, this is so... I didn't grasp how far before mankind this is. This happened so long ago. 60 million. Whoa. This is way before mankind then. Like, way before. Silent King had all the protocols for everyone, even nobles. So before going into exile, he severed this protocol to allow at least some of their race to think for themselves. Oh. So they're tired. They gotta recharge. They're taking a little stasis nap for 40 million years.
Perfect memory, a constant reminder of the doom he inflicted upon his people. Flash forward to the modern day and the Necrons are reawakening, but it isn't working as well as it could be. Whether the tomb world is reawakened naturally or by some imperial moron stepping on a green glowing rock, the Necrons have come back to reclaim a galaxy they consider rightly theirs. But 60 million years of hypersleep have taken their toll. Many Necron dynasties awake with systems unrestored and huge swaths of their population's minds completely lost. Necron nobles wake with various mental faculties compromised, sometimes exhibiting traits similar to excessive paranoia, schizophrenia, or even dementia.
They're senile. Oh, they're just elderly. Get off my lawn, flesh thing! Oh, poor guys! They just can't wake up from the nappies.
Necron, Nemesis Zandrek, believes that he is still back on his home planet fighting off separatists and interlopers. See Oberyn, the separatists come, attempting to outflank me as they did at the 4th Battle of Vindach. How they calculate that daubing themselves green and roaring like savages will produce a different outcome, I cannot fathom. But it is of no account. Ready, my legions, another glorious victory shall soon be ours. Other individuals, such as the esteemed...
He's just fighting everybody. He's back in his war days. He's got the PTSD and he's thinking about... Aww. He's thinking about the past. He's stuck in his past. He even tries to eat food and stuff. Oh, he's back before he was turned into like the new Necrons. Oh.
Esteemed Imhotep the Stormlord seek to usurp the newly returned Silent King for rightful ruler over the Necron race, believing his time has come to an end. While scientists and archaeologists like Trazen the Infinite and Orkin the Diviner spend thousands of years bickering over artifacts and petty squabbles. Truly, the Necrons are a faction of unthinkable, unimaginable power, held back entirely by their own hubris and 60 million years of stasis. It is a species that does not know of time, only of the ravages brought by it. A pharaoh of a dynasty may just be as frightened to awake completely mad as they are to be assassinated while they sleep. Thousands of years pass in an instant. There is a play, like an opera play.
Oh my god, it's Harry Potter Puppet Pals. I'm too old. I'm old.
A retelling of the war in heaven in the Necron culture that takes 40 years to witness. Because why leave? You have no need to eat or vacate your bowels. You are immortal, but you are soulless. Despite the Necrons' incredible technology, their mastery over time, reality itself, despite all of this, they still are missing a soul. And therein lies the biggest struggle. Most Necrons look to conquest the galaxy, kill the interlopers like the humans, Eldar, and Orcs that scrape at a fraction of their power. But the end goal for many, including Xeric himself, is to return the souls to their bodies to
Oh.
undo the horrible fate he cast upon them.
Oh. The Silent King wants to do that? He feels so bad that he took their souls by accident that he wants to bring them back somehow? Is that Zarek? Is that the Silent King? They're still the most technically advanced race in 40k, even 60 million years after they went to sleep. How did no one catch up to them in 60 million years? That's crazy. Oh, poor Necrons. But like, actually, what does a soul really do to them? Like, they seem... I guess they don't have feelings, but the upper class can still think. They have thought. Like, do they really need a soul? It's something that's recently hinted at. Maybe they just want to have babies. Maybe they just want to, you know, experience that again. I don't know.
This is not the interest of all. Many simply wish to rule their dynasty with an iron fist and kill all they consider unworthy. But to many others, it is to undo the decision that doomed them all. Before they can do that, there is a pest that needs exterminating. That is the fundamental understanding of the Necrons. They are so...
Is that pest the Tyranids? I thought they were, like, unbothered by them, but I think that would be cool to see Necron versus Tyranid.
Hyper advanced that their science borders on magic. They play with the fundamental aspects of reality and time. Their mastery of the physical galaxy is the strongest in the universe. Their weapons reduce people to the barest molecules, and they have devices capable of causing stars to supernova. They are unfathomably difficult to kill, as if you do fell one of their number, the living metal reknits itself, and the reanimation protocols allow it to come back alive once again.
Whoa.
They're masters of teleportation, and often killing a Necron fully will just have its consciousness translocated back to their tomb world to await reassembly.
Whoa! Can you not kill them very well then? If you kill them, their consciousness goes back and they can reassemble into a new body? So, like, I know they have no more... Their population is a problem, but they can keep coming back. They feel empty and it feels wrong to them. Some lords... Oh, where'd that comment go? Some lords have to actively not think about breathing because trying to inhale when you have no lungs fucks with some of them. They get something akin to anxiety attack every time they realize they can't blink or breathe. Oh, that makes sense. I guess you would go a little crazy being alive for so long. Sometimes they die if the teleporter doesn't work. They can't reproduce. Killing them is really difficult. I guess it is, yeah, I guess you would go a little crazy after being alive for so long. Like, everything would lose meaning. That's sad.
Utilize large phalanxes of warriors and honorary combats, but some of them have fallen to various mind viruses. The destroyer cults are hell-bent on killing anything and everyone that lives with an overwhelming force. And then there's the flayed ones. Necrons cursed with I have no mouth and I must scream, a panic attack virus, as the last laugh of Landogo, the Flayer Catan. Slowly losing their minds, they strip apart their foes and adorn their bodies with the skin of their enemies, trying to better return to their old feelings of flesh and blood. The Necrons are a degraded version of their mighty empire, and still one of the biggest threats in the galaxy. The only thing keeping them at bay currently is their awakening sickness and their infighting with no care to the timeline. But they are coming. And slowly, they plan to rid this galaxy of the vermin that inhabit it. My people shackled the stars and broke mortality when the species you sprang from had barely left the slime pools it spawned in. Our wars burned reality, and the dominion of our kings is without limit. The ground you tread on is not yours, it is ours.
Get off my lawn! I was here 60 million years ago, you little rats.
The war in heaven was a catastrophic time for the galaxy, and as stated in the above quote, burned reality. Of course, souls exist in Warhammer, and in the case of the Necron tier, they were consumed by the star gods. This begs the question, however, if you were to pass on, expire, as one might put it, where would your soul go? The
Yeah.
answer to this is the warp. In Warhammer, a soul is real. And so is hell, the afterlife, the Empyrean, the Sea of Souls, the Immaterium. All of these names refer to the dimension parallel to our own known as the warp. Now, the warp is not like our reality. It does not follow the classic normalcy of time and space. It is defined as the Sea of Souls, and it acts like this in a more literal way than you can realize. To imagine the warp is to imagine the sea itself. Hell is real, and you can surf on it. It has a current and can become more dangerous depending on where you go and how bad the weather is. As the Immaterium is a reflection of our reality and of our souls, all thoughts, all emotions, all feeling that goes with a soul is passed on into the warp. If an entire planet decides it's going to engage in a blood-fueled rampage of murder and gore, then the warp around that planet will be affected in a similar manner. It's not something that you can see. It is a parallel, not perpendicular dimension, but it is changing. To expose oneself to the warp for any period of time invites certain death outside of the most iron-willed of individuals, and to stare into it will drive one mad. Much like the open seas, things dwell in the warp. Whether these beings were always there and were just emboldened by the carnage of the galaxy, we can only speculate at.
They go to Ohio. The warp is just an analogy. The warp is a small section of Cleveland, Ohio. No, not Cleveland. I have no comment. I've never been to Ohio. Ohio made infinite.
At a time, you could say it was more calm, but a certain faction's galactic war in heaven didn't do it any favors. Now the warp is turbulent, and its realms belong to a pantheon of gods known simply as
Yeah, chaos! Like chaos reign!
The forces of chaos are beings that serve directly under their patron deity. There are 4 current gods of chaos at the moment: Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. Each of them represent various facets of and emotions of sentient species and play a great game against one another for total control over their realms. Interestingly enough,
I really like Khorne and Tzeentch the best. I like Tzeentch probably the best because I love his trickster energy, where it just blows my mind because it can control everything, but also like his whole thing's about change, so he can't really control everything. Yeah, I like the Zussy. I like that he's got a mouth down there. No, I think he's cool. I really like the complexity of Tzeentch. Like, I mean, it's funny, in the last YouTube video react I did, everyone was like, you're one of the first people who doesn't love Slaanesh. And I'm like, I've seen succubuses before. I've had my time with the like succubi, sex god, demoness. It's old to me. It's old. It's been done. I like the really weird, crazy, like elder god type stuff. That's cool to me. That's cool to me. I also like Khorne because he's just like straight up 1v1. I will punch you in the face and rip your guts out. And I'm like, I like a man who tells me straight. I like that he's gonna tell me exactly what he's gonna do and he's gonna follow through with it. Tzeentch is the big yappy birdman. He's great. She likes the intellectual one. I just like his whole thing about. I don't know. He's kind of like a fate stitcher in a way. Yeah, that's true about Slaanesh. She's smexy. I like her. Actually, you know what? She's more than that. I don't know if I like her anymore. She's scary.
While their disciples have physical forms, we can understand the Chaos Gods do not have a physical visual that you can perceive in reality. So while there are tons of fantastic fan art, we do not know what they truly look like, though they're
gods.
Conveniently color-coded. Khorne is the god of blood and murder, carnage and slaughter. He is the one who is most powered by the wholesale killing of any living thing, for Khorne cares not from where the blood flows. With a sacred number of 8, he is the lord of all things involving killing and blood and gore. The champions are extremely strong as well, with monumental muscles and extremely large weapons. A true analog to Khorne would be his greater demon, the Bloodthirster, an enormous muscle-bound flying devil with an axe so large it splits tanks in a...
Khorne is just like the basic, like, I don't want to say basic. I don't want to call Khorne a basic bitch, but like, he's the war god, you know? He likes to fight. He likes blood. He's a gym bro. He likes cool, scary skulls and fighting things, and he just wants war. Milk for the cornflakes! Blood for the blood god. Yeah. He's easy. Khorne's easy.
Single swing. They move into battle with armor of brass adorned by the skulls of their foes and pools of freshly spilt blood. This may appear to be quite frightening, of course. Demonic, one might say. But in the world of chaos, all emotions feed one of these gods in one way or another. If you were to define Khorne with single words, you would use blood, carnage, murder, skulls. But you'd be missing out on important ones like strength, honor, prowess, courage, and skill. Khorne is not just about the wholesale slaughter of people. He is about the honor and power of martial combat. The true strength there is in besting someone in physical strength and skill. Of course.
So like if someone was to challenge Khorne to a 1v1, do you think he'd take it then? And then he would accept defeat gracefully? If he died? I don't know gracefully, but yeah, 100%. Okay, I get Khorne. I get him.
Of course, a murderer would be someone who would feed Khorne, but a soldier could feed Khorne. A martial artist or professional fighter could feed Khorne. A warrior, good or bad, feeds Khorne. A diplomat does not. A premier soldier does. A GoFundMe does not. This is what leads many mortals down the path.
Oh man, look at that art. That art is so good. Holy. I love that. That's Khorne. That's a depiction of him. That's great. Look at his mask. He's got like a... Oh, that's the World Eater. Okay, that's his champion? That's so cool. That's so cool. I also really like the red and gold aesthetics. And fire, death, skulls. Very cool. Very cool.
Khorne, for he will bless those that bring him enough skulls, and in a world this destructive, there are many ways to reap a high tally for him. Prepare the dread claws and unchain the mad ones. Glorious battle awaits us today, for the world below has refused to surrender. Let us descend upon them with fury and rage, giving no quarter and sparing only those warriors who fight well enough to earn a place amongst us. As to the rest, their lives and possessions are ours, but their skulls are for Khorne. Normally, if I ever want to explain Khorne, I just kind of show them this clip.
I'd never stab you in the back, Shepherd. Warriors like you and me, straight to the face.
That's such a good clip. Mass Effect, let's go. For sure. For sure. That's a really good analogy.
Moving on, Tzeentch is the...
Let's go. Let's go. Let's give it up for Tzeentch. Give it up for Tzeentch. Question, this might be solved when I watch the video more. Can you have the gods or like the champions of the gods in your game somehow? Like in your tabletop game? Or not tabletop, in your wars? What's it, you know, like, can you have that as part of your army? As like a special dude? Oh, you can. Not the gods, but the champions. The greater demons. But only the chaos factions can have the greater demons, right? Cool. Cool. We should look up some of those models later. I want to see what the greater demons look like.
second god, the god of trickery and mischief, the changer of ways, the great conspirator, and the architect of fate. With a sacred number of 9, Tzeentch is truly the god of change in all of its forms, but there is an obvious undercurrent of mischief and cunning. Tzeentch is such a liar that his pants have gone thermonuclear. His favorite pastime is asking questions that have no answers while simultaneously making up answers on the spot to a question he didn't ask.
Have you ever had a dream that you
That is literally me as a person trying to say anything, and my ADHD just. That is hilarious.
you could do so.
Me literally narrating this reactor right now, trying to give like any kind of insight. I'm sorry.
You want him to do you so much you could do anything?
He is such a conniving little bastard that every emotion of lying, of scheming, of trickery is a direct way to help feed him. An unfaithful partner, a politician, a spy. All these people feed Tzeentch in one way or another, and it doesn't matter if the intentions are good. Acceptance does not feed Tzeentch. Change does. Tzeentch doesn't care about your facts. He only wants opinions. Because he represents change, he also represents hope, though. Schemes are not always bad, and even the hope to make a better tomorrow is the change he seeks. Because he is the architect of fate and the mastery of sorcery, his presence is purely unknowable. Every depiction of a Tzeentchian demon contains more eyes than are necessary and more mouths than I know what to do with. It is a biblically accurate angel if the angel gaslit you into thinking birds are government drones. But are they? The creatures at his disposal adorn themselves with the knowledge of sorceries and the unknown, all to provide a mind-crushing experience. Fighting demons from outside of our reality is difficult enough, but fighting demons from unreality, purposely attempting to trick you, is a whole new thing entirely. And that is before we even get started on the gigantic bird of sorcery you're going to need to face. Do not ask which creature screams in the night. Do not question who waits for you in the shadow. It is my cry that wakes you in the night, and my body that crouches in the shadow. I am Tzeentch, and you are the puppet that dances to my tune. Third of the Chaos God.
Tzeentch is so cool. He just reminds me of like Lovecraftian horror, kind of like the unknown. He's everything, but he's nothing, and you never know exactly what's going on. Tzeentch once yeeted his best greater demon named Kairos into a warp well just to see what would happen, so if you follow him, he will screw you over. He's also very into forbidden knowledge and often uses the prospect of it to tempt mortals to his side. Man, I really like him. I would fall for Tzeentch. I would probably fall. I would definitely fall to Tzeentch. Be like, ooh, knowledge. You have knowledge for me? You have special powers for me? I'm special? Are you saying I'm a special girl? Then he'd yoink my soul. Yeah, you would! Then he would just yoink my soul.
Gods is the one of acceptance of rot and pestilence, the grandfather himself, Papa Nurgle. Nurgle is the exact opposite of Tzeentch. Where Tzeentch believes in change and hope for a future, Nurgle believes in stagnation and the end of everything. At one point or another, we will all decay. We will all rot, and we will all end. And with a sacred number of 7, every single thing, pestilence, boil, and everything in between, comes under the great shadow and girth of Nurgle himself.
The girth of Nurgle? Bricky, what are you saying to me right now? Papa Nurgle loves you? I don't want to be loved by Papa Nurgle.
For Nurgle, the plight of mortals is his fear and wine. And no matter how solid life might be, everything will decay in the end. In the creation of life, there must be an end to that life. And nobody has more creations to end lives.
I can't. He's cool. I get it. I can't with the aesthetics. It's too much. I don't need to see a belly full of teeth. That's gonna give me nightmares. I hate it. I can't do it.
Grandfather Nurgle himself. Every boil, every blemish, every pus-filled wound and
Ugh.
disease, every rot and every plague is kept and concocted by Nurgle. This, humorously, keeps Nurgle as a jovial god. He is full of life and laughter, and by creating as many diseases as he possibly can, he shares that joy with mortals. I mean, his envoy is the great unclean one. And look at how happy he is. And there's a lot of him to love. A fear of death in general is feeding Nurgle. All disease makes him stronger, but to pray for salvation for a wounded loved one is to feed Nurgle. The timeless and inevitable fear that one day you will rot and decay is what gives him strength. The Peloton won't feed Nurgle. Licking the doorknob on a public bathroom certainly does. However, should you embrace your grandfather's gifts, you may find
They're actually happy? They feel like they're giving everyone gifts when they spread like pestilence and sickness? So like the Chaos Space Marines, what are they called that follow him? The Plague Doctor types, they're like just happy guys? They're always smiling and laughing? That's unhinged. That is so unhinged. Well, most often one of his plagues will infect someone and then he makes the offer. He won't cure them, but if they worship him and spread their affliction in his name, Nurgle can make the pain go away. Oh, okay. Grandfather's gift. Spreading grandfather's gift. Oh, I just can't. The intestines. I have a thing with intestines. They should stay on the inside. I don't want to see them.
End to your pain. Maybe. All mortal followers of the Chaos Gods found themselves there in one way or another, either through the direct worship or the slow corrupting of their souls. But those that take Nurgle's gifts and embrace the decay of their bodies may end up being chosen among his few as a faithful servant. In doing so, you will be free of the pain caused by Nurgle's ailments, and you may even find yourself just as jovial and happy as he is.
Cute.
Maybe. His enemies shall wither and die. His allies shall wither and die. The universe and all within it shall wither and die. And when the great corruption has settled over the land and permeated the very foundations of reality itself, then shall the Lord of all rise from the rot and ruin, spread his arms wide to reclaim all of his dutiful children. Those were the three major chaos gods for a very long time, emboldened by war and death on a galactic scale, ever present, but now fact on the suffering of a galaxy.
So, do we know when the Chaos Gods were created? They were just like manifested one day out of nowhere. Like we know Slanesh was created by the Dark Eldar, but the other Chaos Gods, they've just been chilling. Oh, from the War in Heaven? Were they made around the time the Necrons fought the Catan? The others were just always there. Okay. The Necron might know how they were created, but they might be even older. I see. I guess, yeah, probably time doesn't even really exist in the warp, so who knows?
One race, for a while, was able to elude the pull of chaos. An advanced race of psychically attuned aliens whose master over the physical world was so strong that chaos could not glean from them the morsels of power they once had. Or so they couldn't. Not for a long while. 60 million years ago, in an attempt to combat the Necrons in Catan, the Old Ones made a new species. One with innate power in the warp and the ability to harness it with a mastery that was unseen by so many others. A mastery so powerful, the Necrons retreated to sleep in order to wait it out. It was no longer a galaxy to be ruled by them, but instead begin the age of the
Eldar! The scary ones!
The Eldar are a race of pointed-eared humanoids that are all psychically...
So, like, the Old Ones created the Eldar. They created a whole super advanced race. How did they die? Like, I know the Catan and the Necrons killed them, but like, I'm just, they seem so powerful. How are they like, how did they die? The Drukhari are the evil ones, not every Eldar. My bad. I'm sorry, Eldar. I shouldn't profile you like that. The old ones created a bunch of races. I guess the Catan were powerful too. That is the answer. I guess they were just more powerful. But that's just crazy. They can just like create races like that.
Attuned to the warp. If we're being meta here, these are space elves, and these elves ruled the galaxy in the time the Necrons went to sleep and humanity began to rise. The Eldar's empire was galaxy-wide and lasted for longer than any other galactic power that we know of. Their understanding of all things was exceptional. With every single one of them being psychers, they had the ability to master the warp and use it to their advantage. See, being a psyker is basically like being a wizard, or I guess in this case it's more of a sorcerer, since you are born with the gifts as opposed to learning them. In order to utilize your psychic abilities, however, you must then reach into the other dimension.
Oh, so psychers are born like that, but they have to reach into the warp to use it, or to like, you know, actually do something. I thought everybody was just like, oh, I didn't know they were born with it. I thought it was like everyone's normal. Everyone's the same. Everyone's the same. And then some people just go reach for the warp. But you have to be born with it. Okay.
Into the warp, into hell for that power. So if you were to say, cast Fireball, your mind would reach into the warp, gather the strength to rewrite reality, to then cast Fireball. Now, you might think to yourself, doesn't that mean if you are opening up a power to the warp, you may create a lot of risk to yourself because of all the horrible things we just talked about in the warp? Yes. However, in Warhammer 40,
yes, that is a bad thing. Yes.
okay, willpower is a real, tangible thing, in the sense that in its own right, it can be weaponized. Being strong of will means being strong of soul, and being strong of soul means you can resist the pull of the warp that much more. A more inexperienced psyker opens up a hole into the warp that is large, and that hole widens to get more power, allowing evil things to get in. A powerful psyker is able to open a very small hole, but with immense force to get the same amount of power with less risk. The Eldar are master psychers. Every single one of them can call upon the warp, and over millions of years they have perfected it so much so that they can weave structures out of it.
Whoa.
In some species in the galaxy, they utilize the warp itself for interstellar travel. The Eldar ain't having any of that noise. How about we utilize a fancy alternative mode of travel that is substantially safer than the old ones created, called the webway? What about dying? Miss me with that. We no longer age.
Oh.
And if we do, we can just be reborn like that. Food?
So like the Eldar figured out immortality on their own? The Eldari? Whereas the Necrons were trying to get immortality for so long, they had to make a deal with the Catan. And the Eldari were just like, actually, we're just super duper strong now. We don't age. Boom. They were reincarnated when they died. Interesting. Okay.
Water, materials, we make things out of distilled warp essence itself. We sing unreality into cathedrals to dine in. What truly could the Eldari Empire possibly fear? The Eldari Empire's biggest fear was themselves. The society so perfect they wanted for naught, and this led them down dark and dangerous paths. When the base functions of society are no longer a problem for you, you tend to experiment. Perhaps the
That's one way of putting it. When you get bored, you tend to experiment.
medium rare steak on your plate would be better if it was elf meat. Hey, I'm not saying we should make cannibalism legal, but like, what's the issue with a little taste? Violent sports is one thing, but how can don't do sports to the death. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if both participants are willing and clear about it, like, what really is the problem there, you know? Or
Idle hands led to gooning. The Emperor, probably. Oh my god. They just got bored with life because everything was too easy, too great, too good. So let's see what kind of depravity we can imagine. Basically. Especially if they can't die, they're gonna get bored eventually. They're gonna keep trying crazier and crazier things until suddenly, oopsie doopsie.
art is in the eye of the viewer, and what is considered art is completely up to the concept of one's own interest. A canvas adorned with the blood of a man wronged is truly the visual poetry that our society needs. Hedonism. With a slow and consistent hedonism, the Eldar slid backwards into debauchery of the sort I cannot discuss on this YouTube video. Murder on stage, delicacies and drugs distilled from one another, the trade of slaves and concubines, and much, much worse. The Eldar physiology has their emotions heightened, and they can feel more than a human does. So while it can provide lows of pure despair, it can also provide greater highs than you have ever known. And swinging between the two of them was the Eldar game. The Warp took notice of
course.
this heavily, and it began to react.
Something to keep in mind is that it took millions of years for the Eldar to get this bad. Right, okay. That makes sense, because they were created by the old ones, so they were around for quite a while. And it's not just gooning, it's a total moral crash in art and philosophy. Oh, it's everything, yeah, it's everything. It's the gooning, it's the murder, it's the torture, it's the drugs, it's the... What else is there? Anything... Debauchery. Debauchery! Oh, wow. They're like basically huge adrenaline junkies.
Galactic scale, the debauchery and the hedonism of the Eldar race caused levels of warp storm so pronounced and so volatile that it cut off interstellar travel for all those who used it. Communications between planets was removed, and a nightmarish era of old night began. This continued for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. The Eldar all but removed from the problems being caused as they entered heights of more and more ecstasy. They needed more and more and more. Nothing was ever enough. More murder, more torture. It's art, it's delicacies, it's life. This silence offends Slaanesh.
Uh-oh.
Wait. Slaanesh, the prince of pleasure, she who thirsts, the god of unspeakable.
I have never seen this art before, but what? That was really well done. That was really well done. That's crazy. Look at all the mouths they got. That's... What?
Excess is our fourth chaos god, with the sacred number of 6 adorning their title. Slaanesh is a bit of a tricky one, because with our other 3 chaos gods, there was a certain understanding of human emotions and desires, but for Slaanesh, that desire is how they get their power. The words to be used would be decadence, pleasure, perfection, passion, excess, and many others. The pursuit of more. The want to do more, experience more, become more. That's what gives.
Hubba. Why do they only got one titty? Or one cup there? Oh my god, these are the people we're fighting? Wooga wooga.
Slaanesh their gift.
Oh, they're androgynous. That's really cool. That's really, yeah. That's...
A lot of people believe that Slaanesh is something
Makes
that
sense.
originates with sex, specifically. And it makes sense why they assume.
They're all wearing leather pants. Of course we think of sex. They're all wearing leather pants and corsets and, like, nipple rings. Of course we think of sex. I know it's everything, but I mean, the imagery, man.
that. The visuals of Slaanesh patrons are all very lithe and sexual, but they are also intentionally androgynous to appear attractive to a variety of intrigues. However, to think that Slaanesh specifically derives from sex would be mistaken. While it is true that a lot of humanity—
What is this meme right now? It's not leather pants, it's human skin pants? Oh my God. I guess that technically is leather. It's just human leather. It's human leather.
Humanity's actions can relate to getting
Do
laid,
tricks on
and Slaanesh is the dark prince of desire. It's more on the lines of feeling an excess of an emotion. It is excessive touch and scent and desire, and a lot of that has to do with sex. That's why it looks like sex, but it's more than just that. A patron of the arts may feed Slaanesh, one that aspires to become the perfect chef or master of their craft, and the sheer pursuit of that alone will feed Slaanesh. Whiplash is Slaanesh's absolute favorite film. Videos where people beat Elden Ring on a dance pad feed Slaanesh.
There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job.
Oh, I thought he was gonna say good girl. And I was like...
But is there a line?
No, man, no.
This also moves into the concept of feeling. Sensation is a majorly Slaanesh-coded thing. It might start off feeling good, but then you get to play around a little bit, you know? You play with a little bit of pain. Light pain might not be enough, so you might want more.
Is this how people get into BDSM? I feel like I'm getting the introduction into BDSM right now. I mean, also, yes!
Or inflicting the pain could be your jam. Music can increase to volumes that may hurt your ears, and even then, that might not be enough. More. You must have more. Many of the disciples of Slaanesh carry a demonic form in their lithe grace. The Keeper of Secrets is his chosen envoy, and their movements are a blur of dance and pain with an aura all the more fatal. They dance and sing, but there's always a form of malice behind every action they take. An alluring gaze that will pull you in right before the demonic entity can crush you in that grip. Slaanesh's palace has 6 layers surrounding it, and one of them is the excess of gluttony, where the participant finds themselves in a beautiful banquet full of the most delicious foods imaginable.
Oh, Slaanesh is like the 7 deadly sins, kind of, right? Everything in excess. So like lust and greed and what's it called? Sloth, envy, wrath, everything in excess. Yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Tables of delicacies and rivers of wine tempt the user to such a degree that they cannot stop stuffing their face, unaware that the things they are eating are very vaguely familiar meat. If one does not see themselves drowning in the river of wine, they may soon fill their bodies up so much that they cease to function and fall over, becoming part of the banquet themselves. That is one of these 6 layers of Slaanesh's palace.
Sick.
This was the ecstasy that the Eldar civilization indulged in for millennia, and did so at a monumental scale that they created a god from it. Find pleasure in every moment, indulge in every whim, let lesser races feel the burden of their crude lives. We are beyond such concerns or worries. Every power is ours to use, every sensation ours to experience. We are truly masters of the galaxy, and all others exist only to satisfy our curiosities. We have earned our position of power. Let us forever taste the fruits of such achievement. Time itself is ours to command.
Damn!
We are eternal.
Damn, that is some ego! What a screen to pause on. You were...
With the birth of Slaanesh, the Eldari Empire ceased to be. A catastrophic event so horrible that the warp ripped a hole permanently in our reality, a fissure forever known as the Eye of Terror. With the sudden inhalation of this god's largest breath, the Eldari souls are a currency to be now collected by she who thirsts. Trillions of Eldar died in an instant. Slaanesh gorging.
I'm gonna come out and say it. This might be a hot take, but they deserved it. They deserved it. Like, I don't feel bad for the Eldari. They deserved it. Get wrecked.
On their souls to satisfy his palate. 99.9% of their entire species died, and the rest are doomed to a fate worse than death. For Slaanesh now stakes a claim on each and every Eldar soul. From the moment they pass on, an eternity of torment awaits them. The remaining Eldar devote their entire lives to stopping this eventuality. Their dying race so devoted to saving themselves from the Dark Prince. And, in doing so, have found very creative ways. In the modern world of Warhammer, the craft world Eldar are the main force of Eldar in the galaxy and represent the elf style that many think of when you think elves in space. Fantasy elves in space, not those elves. We'll get
I was thinking Drow when he said that.
to them. A craft world is a monumentally large starship, the size of a continent, that acts as a form of flotilla. During the highest reaches of hedonism, many Eldar saw the demonic writing on the wall and began to try and seek asylum from their own debauchery. Those Eldar left on monumental craft worlds.
Oh, these are the Eldar that when things are getting a little crazy, they're like, you know what, we're out. This is too much goonin'. We're gonna dip. We're you know what? We're gonna see ourselves out. You guys have a great time, but I'm out of here.
Into the far reaches of the galaxy and saved themselves from Slaanesh's awakening. The main thing the craft world Eldar seek is to temper their minds and bodies in a way that will never allow them to slide back into their old ways. The representation they carry is that of a more feudal Japanese motif. Eldar follow paths as they age, the path of the warrior, the seer, the poet, the diplomat, the bone singer, and so on. These paths are a strict code of conduct to hone the heightened.
These guys kind of feel like monks to me. They got the vibe of, you know, pure body and mind so we don't get corrupted by Slaanesh.
Eldar psychology down a school of thought and action. And if it sounds a hell of a lot like Bushido, well, you're damn right. Here's a medal and a soul stone. Don't lose it or an eternity of torment awaits you. Going through these paths will allow you to take up not just a role in Eldar society, but keep your mind clear from the past worries that plagued them. Every Eldar is said to be a psyker, however, very few of them actually utilize their psychic powers for fear of tempting she who thirsts.
Oh.
A large amount of emphasis is also put on ancestors of the Eldar and learning from them the farther you go down a path. This can sometimes be seen by the large variety of jewels adoring the armor of Eldar. Those are called soul stones, the biggest middle finger to Slaanesh they can think of.
Oh.
See, when an Eldar dies, these stones act as a backup, and instead of their souls going to Slaanesh, they are then trapped and stored in this little stone. So when the Eldar say they commune with their ancestors, they mean so very literally, as the spirit and soul of generations before them are stored here. Often larger structures.
Whoa! They found a way to store their souls? So they don't, so Slaanesh gets nothing from them? That's pretty great. They're literally like, fuck you, Slaanesh. We don't need you.
Structures may contain vast amounts of soul stones, such as the Infinity Circuit in the craft world itself, allowing the souls of the dead to help power their enormous starship. The young do not desire the discipline of the path, but rather their curiosity drives them to try every fruit from the tree. Thus, it is that so many take the path of wandering or the path of damnation in their first years of adulthood. And so, the great tragedy of our kind is played out again and again as the number of our people shrink from generation to generation. These paths, when completed, allow an Eldar to move to the next one, than the next one. However, since this is the grim darkness of the world, many of these paths rely on combat. The Eldar actually had gods at one point.
Oh.
Cain, Val, Isha, Azaryan, and so on. These gods are aspects of the Eldar pantheon, and while many were killed in Slaaneish's creation, their teachings live on. For some,
What is the jar about? The jar god? Okay.
the strongest devotion to the Eldar
Oh, Isha is currently in Nurgle's jar? The Isha jar? He kidnapped her and put her in a jar? Chat, I'm gonna do that for you. For you? I mean, to you. Oh my god. My chat jar you can never leave.
Eldar gods is to join the Aspect Warriors and embody the wrath of Cain, their god of war. While guardians of the Eldar craft worlds are more akin to a trained militia, the Aspect Warriors embody a particular variant of the path. Each are led by a Phoenix Lord, a name passed down from generations and embodying the souls of prior Phoenix Lords with each new one. The Howling Banshees led by Jane Zar, Fugin and his Fire Dragons, Baharoth and his Swooping Hawks, or Malgan Ra and his Dark Reapers. Each aspect shrine carries with it the Eldar way of war. Fast, hard-hitting, and incredibly tricksy, for they do not have the numbers to fight in any other way. The Craftworld Eldar show how mangled an empire can be by their own actions. They once ruled the galaxy in an honest, non-hyperbolic way, but in the end, they were bested by themselves, and their most prominent remnants are forced to drift aimlessly through the galaxy, trying to save their species from extinction and resist the temptations of she who thirsts. But for some, the party, it's just beginning. Deep within the
We love flaying people alive over here in the Drakari party. We love human furniture over here. You want to join? You guys want to join? You want to join?
Webway is the city of Kamara. This dark city once existed as a port in the Webway that allowed for ease of transport for the Eldar between its various domains. The significance of this city meant that it needed to be a bit more of a neutral territory outside of the jurisdiction of general Eldar law, and therefore it was allowed to self-govern. This did not go well. The Dark City became the hideaway for all manner of sin. The Eldar race slipped into debauchery on a galactic scale that it birthed a god, and this was the city you went to when that wasn't enough for you. The convenience of being so deep within the Webway was that it exists as a blind spot to the horrors of the warp. So while the rest of the Eldar fled the downfall of their species, Kamara kept partying. When Slaanesh was birthed, they were saved the worst of it, thanks to them being nice and neatly tucked away inside the Webway. But only somewhat. The Dark Prince did not have a grip around their soul, but the tiniest pinky finger, and they were still pulling. But due to their excess hedonism, they found a solution to this problem. If they tormented others, they could temporarily...
What is this art right now? What am I looking at? The birth of Slaanesh was just a pre-drinks for the party. Oh my god, what a sentence that is. This is what the Drukhari look like now? Oh my god, that's insane.
rejuvenate their souls and continue to cheat their inevitable death by placating the Prince of Pleasure. And if they kept this up on the regular, they could effectively become immortal. Thus, the Drukhari were born. Unlike the more stoic elves you see in works of fiction, the Drukhari themselves exist as a sort of analog of the more grim and fiendish elves you find in Norse and European mythology. The Drukhari are soul vampires, but the more basic means to feed are hardly enough to keep them going. This desire to feed is known as the thirst, and to quench it effectively, they have mastered the art of biotechnology and dark sciences to really juice themselves up on the crispy soul sprite from the vending machine called the Galaxy. The majority of Drukhari act as pirates and raiders and slavers.
They're the scariest thing in Warcraft, or yeah, Warhammer. They're the scariest thing in Warhammer, I think. That's so scary. They're like the bad space bandits that are gonna like do horrible things to you if they catch you alive. They remind me of, has anyone seen Firefly? They kind of remind me of the Reavers. Are they called Reavers? The like space things that you're scared of, that you don't want to be taken alive by. You'd rather die before they take you because they're going to do horrible, unspeakable things to you. Yeah, they scare me. They scare me, they scare me, they scare me. Reavers are tame by comparison. Oh my gosh, okay.
They go into our physical reality and drag people back to Kamara to commit atrocities that go beyond any imaginative torture a human can think of. The Drukhari are organized in various groups throughout the Dark City to accomplish this in a more organized and extremely brutal way. The Cabals act as the main warriors of the city, led by their Archons. Witches and Succubi act as entertainment for Kamara in gladiatorial arenas, and the flesh-crafting homunculus keep the Drukhari alive and discover ever increasingly more painful ways to torment their ever increasingly large supply of slaves they are brought. The Dark Eldar see the other inhabitants of the galaxy as little more than cattle, livestock that can be brought to bay or slaughtered at any time. Their fodder, however, is not meat and muscle, but the anguish and despair of the weak. The Dark Eldar do indeed drink blood, but also tears, and most sustaining of all, the raw essence of pain they wring out of their captives.
That's
the
so
truth
metal.
of the matter is that Drukhari sustain themselves on the suffering of others, not just morally, but physically. Kamara is a city right.
So do the Drukhari do it to each other? If they don't have any slaves to toy with or something? Like, do they do that to each other? I guess. Yes. They do it for fun. That is how it started, I guess. That's true. Oh, wow. They can look very attractive, by the way. I haven't seen any attractive Drukhari yet. I guess they all look horribly mean and evil, but I guess that's part of their, that's their aura.
Rife with backstabbing schemes and murder. It is the worst back alleys of the worst ghettos at the best of times. Nothing is more horrifying to a Drukhari than death, for death will see them in the talons of Slanesh for an eternity of torment. So they do everything they can to stop this. The homunculi covens regrow dead members from pieces of flesh as bargaining chips. The succubi create grisly
Okay, there's a hot one. You're right. There's a hot one. Their beauty is more like glamour. They look much more horrifying with the veil gone. Oh, that makes sense. That's why they're in gangs and cabals. If you have no protection, you'll get snatched up and tortured. Oh, okay, okay, okay. And they aren't above going after craftworlders or exodites either? Oh boy. Oh boy. They're the worst kinds of fae from old fairy tales.
Gladiatorial spectacles that literally rejuvenate the audience members as captives are murdered for sport. To be captured by the Drukhari is one of, if not the worst fate imaginable in the world of Warhammer 40k.
Wow.
In a universe built on war crimes, they are the most debased war crimers of all time. To be tortured and sacrificed in the gladiatorial arenas is a blessing, for you have escaped the fate of being in the flesh smith's control group, or being turned into a living and breathing piece of furniture for an Archon's quarters. In a cruel—
No, it's the furniture! I was hoping to forget that. I was hoping that would be scrubbed from my memory. I don't like that. They're really creative with torture. Turn the soul of a person into a chess-type board game, and every time a piece was moved, it caused unbelievable pain. If a piece was captured, part of their soul died. What? How do they do that, though?
Twist of fate, a newly born Drukhari does not arrive into this world loving torture. It is something they must grow to love. Grow to appreciate the suffering of other beings in order to survive in the world they have been brought into. If they succeed, they become—
No. That's the worst part. What? The little babies and children, they're just normal little baby, happy little innocent children, and they have to learn to love this? Oh, I just thought. Oh, I just thought they were all born like evil. No, that's horrible. That's horrible. One really crazy thing about the Drukhari is that if they don't torture others, they start dying. Oh my god.
Become some of the worst monsters in the known galaxy. A dark reflection to the craft worlders and a taste of what Eldar society was like before the fall. If they do not succeed, they must find purchase elsewhere. Often those will join smaller parts of Eldar society like the Exodites or the Harlequins. Exodites believe in a pre-industrial variant of their society, often retreating to more lush worlds to ride dinosaurs and live off the land. Prehistoric style.
They're like monster hunters, these ones.
That I would normally laugh at if they weren't riding dinosaurs like ballers. The Harlequin dancing troupe are a subsect of Eldar that are more than just a little strange. A carnival of dancing jesters that serve the Eldar laughing god of Seroarrt. They arrive never when expected and leave just as quickly. Blurs of light carry their footsteps as they dance their foes into a grave. Combat is just as much of a joke as it is a play on bloody murder. They travel and aid many other Eldar and sometimes even humanity for reasons we can never understand. Perhaps one day we would have, were they not stripped of their army book and folded into the Eldari Codex.
I kind of like the Harlequins. I think they're my favorite of the Eldari. They're just so different. Oh, that's too bad that you like them. Wait, what's happening to them? Oh no. Wait, they got rid of Harlequins? There's a story of a dark Eldar noble child being brought into a room by her mother for a surprise. She opens the door to a tied-up man and tells her daughter to start hurting him. The kid is horrified and doesn't want to hurt some stranger, but eventually her mother makes her like it. Oh my god! I don't need to know these stories! Oh no. Harlequins exist, just they're not their own army anymore. Oh, okay. Okay, I like Harlequins though. I think they're funny. I mean, scary, funny, scary.
So I suppose it'll have to stay a mystery. Or maybe it was one of Seroartt's master plans to get back at she who thirsts and save their species. Who could know? Perhaps it was all a sick and practical joke to Seroarrt, and he would just find it very funny to watch me fumble the discussion of one human on a tiny blue planet across the galaxy. Oh, speaking of. Before the fall of the Eldar.
The Imperium of Man! That's our boy, the Emperor. Where'd he come from? Nobody knows, but he's here and he's doing things. He's got like gold all over him. He looks pretty buff. That's the Emperor.
Earth, or Terra, as it's called, was in ruin. One man who looks to put the pieces back together. Where did he come from? We don't know. Some say he was the result of early shamans. Some say he is the final
I remember now. Chat was giving me theories about where he came from, and some did say that he was from a bunch of shamans, like manifested him into existence or something on Earth. Knowing the Emperor's origin is heresy. But there are books about it. Where did he come from? Where did he go? Where did he come from? Psychic Man Joe.
old one who escaped their species genocide. And those that are smartest know the answer is, it doesn't matter. He revealed himself as the Emperor of Mankind, and he was tasked with the most monumental upheaval of humanity possible. The Eldari's warp fluctuations had turned the golden age of humanity into old night. Interstellar travel cut off? Check. An AI uprising? Check. Brand new psychers popping up and not knowing how to handle their powers? Oh, check. Demonic incursions? Check. Thousands of years this occurred, and now the Emperor of Mankind showed himself to put the pieces back together. Unifying Terra under his rule, the Emperor founded the Imperium of Man and ruled it with an...
Sorry, did he say that the Emperor came after the Eldari released Slanesh? Or was that before? When the Eldari screwed everything up, the Emperor came after that? Or was he there before? I didn't understand that. He existed, but he didn't take over until then. Oh, okay. He was doing his thing, but he was revealed to be the Emperor after. I see. So he basically he's coming in here and he's cleaning up the mess.
Iron fist. He was the supreme leader and nothing could stand against him. He wished to remove mankind from the yoke of its former failures, and he knew he would be the best leader they could have because he was right. AI banned. Religion banned. You did as the Emperor told you, or his Thunder Warriors would put you in your place. That place often being a grave. Now, Terra was thriving, but humanity needed to reclaim its long-lost brethren scattered across the stars. But to do so, he needed those that could build him a fleet truly meant for the reconquering of the galaxy. And so he turned his attention to the red planet of Mars.
It's the robot guys! The guys who turn their flesh into robot pieces. The Mechanicus! Is that what's gonna happen here? Are we gonna have to ban AI? The Emperor's gonna have to come in, ban AI? Time to pray to the 2007 Honda Civic.
Mars and Terra were close allies long before the Unification Wars. Mars was the first world terraformed by humanity and became what would ultimately be the first hive world, an epicenter for industry and technology. The Age of Strife did not treat the red planet kindly, however.
Is that the Mechanicus planet? That looks cool. Even the outer rings look like mechanical, kind of. Oh, that's Stellaris. What's Stellaris? What's Stellaris then? A space sim game. Oh, I thought this was something to do with Warhammer lore. Oh my god, you guys. I'm too gullible. I'll just...
Mars was cut off from Terra during this time, and the warp storms that ravaged the planet turned it into an absolute nuclear hellscape. Those who were on the surface were turned into your run-of-the-mill mutant if they even survived the bombings they inflicted on themselves, but others were lucky enough to escape beneath the red sands in powerful fallout shelters. These became their generational habitats, but this resulted in extreme reliance on technology and those who could use it. They began to view the technology keeping them alive less as a technological advancement and more of a divine intervention, with those skilled in it as priests. The Martians began to worship the power of the machine, and this resulted in the formation of the cult Mechanicus, the belief in a holy trinity known as the Three-in-One. The machine god, serving as the spirit who gave rise to all technologies known, the motive force, the deity that gives all life its ability to live, and the Omnissiah, a physical manifestation of the machine god itself. This belief began to manifest in them physically as well. What were once humans began to really mess around with the character creator options, and this tech obsession made them view instances
That went over my head for a second, but he said they started to mess with the character creator options. The mechanic is they got stuck in the character creator for like years. Just changing how they look, changing their body to be more mechanical. And I didn't know that they lived in like fallout shelters. That's really cool. So that their planet was like, it's like giving me Necron vibes, isn't it? Their planet was also like radioactive fallout type thing, so they had to go in shelters. And then they started becoming obsessed with making themselves more like techie. Mechanical? If you've ever prayed for OBS to work, you've prayed to the Omnissiah. I'm not a heretic.
Of flesh to be weak and spend their lives removing what makes them human and replacing it with mechanical augments. Robotic limbs, glowing eyes, mechadendrite arms. What was once a mass of flesh now looks like the back of a router, and the oldest members of the Mechanicus no longer even look slightly human. In addition to this, cloaked over all of their mechanical appendages are robes that reflect the color of their homeworld, the red robes of the Mechanicus. The cult Mechanicum, now the Adeptus Mechanicus.
What? What is this artwork? Oh my god! Holy! There's so many appendages! What? There's so many. He's like a Swiss Army knife. That's Call. Belisarius Call. Oh my god. He's so cool. That's 200 plus hours in character creator. Is there a mini of Call? Can you make him? I feel like that would take so long. Yes, he's like 10k years old at this point. How did the Mechanicus live for so long? I know they replaced their parts, but 10,000 years? He's massive. I wonder what kind of you know what? You know, I wonder what he's got under the hood, so to speak. Like what kind of adaptations that they would want to make. I wonder.
Create a fascinating combination of cultures all birthed into one. Basically, techno-zealot monks. Organic life is the machine god's greatest accomplishment within the scope of the great work. All praise he who is three in one. By giving us life within an organic shell, he presents us with the means and opportunity to improve upon physicality, as is his divine plan. He grants us complex weakness so we might learn metallic strength and ascend to his level of machinic perfection. The Emperor's arrival to Mars was very much a walking in with the pizzas while the room is on fire moment, but to the Mechanicum, they saw his
good old community moment. I hope he's got Bluetooth in there.
Arrival as confirmation of their belief. They took one look at the glowing golden entity that showed up on their doorstep and were like, that's him. That's the guy right there. And they immediately accepted him as the Omnissiah. Obviously showing up and being called Machine Jesus shortly after wiping out all instances.
Machine Jesus? They saw the Emperor and they're like, yep, that's our guy. That's our guy. That's him. I mean, how can you look at this glorious guy and not be like, he's the one? I get it. Honestly, I get it.
Of non-machine Jesus a little bit beforehand is an instance of capital H heresy, but the Emperor saw the bigger picture. Were they strange with how they rubbed unguents on themselves, burned incense, and prayed to machines for them to work? Sure, but that's a lot of production right there. So the Emperor devised the Treaty of Olympus Mons, a unifying agreement between Terra and Mars, and this union would be permanently etched into the Aquila of the Imperium as the two-headed eagle. One head for Terra, the other for Mars. The forces of the Emperor would be supplied with all the technology and weapons they needed to reunite the scattered remnants of humanity under one banner, and the Mechanicum of Mars would be able to keep doing what they were doing religiously and scientifically so long as they kept up their tithes. This tithe meant total quality control over all technology in the Imperium.
Damn!
Is it a big spaceship? AdMech take care of that. Tanks? AdMech take care of that. The literal bullets in a gun? You guessed it. But unlike the factories...
I think the Emperor got a good deal here, getting them to hook them up with guns and anything mechanical, basically. It's just all the stuff. I feel like that's a pretty good deal for the Emperor. What did the Mechanicus get out of it? They just get to like be there? They just like they get to worship their god, but like they just get to be there? Is that the deal? They get to not be heretics. Yeah, I guess that's valuable. Okay. I mean, yeah, I guess that's valuable. They don't get nuked, so they get to live. All right. I'm familiar with your game, Emperor.
Today, the Forge Worlds of Mars and the creations of the Mechanicum are a bit of a different experience altogether. Instead of a factory on a random given world, the entirety of the planet's surface is dedicated to manufacturing. But that's a little tricky, isn't it? Considering that the usage of silica animus, or AI, is a big no-no, and basically the largest affront to their...
That is horrifying. Oh my god. What is this? This is horrifying.
Divine machine god possible. Fortunately, there's a really neat alternative that they've come up with, and that's called a servitor. Incredible device that can do anything from...
What is that? A servitor? Oh yeah, it gets worse before it gets better. What? Why is his mouth a pointy thing? Oh, okay, yeah, oh. It's okay. All right.
Manufacturing, maintenance, basic door operation, even just float around like a helpful little drone. It's an extremely easy process too. All you need to do is take a human who is dying or preferably an enemy of the state, most likely that one, and lobotomize them. And then reprogram their brains to do exactly what they tell you. They even got little baby versions of them. Yay! So now you can rest easy.
Oh my god! What? Literal brains that have chips in them. Technically not AI. Oh my god, they lobotomize them and make them into little living machine robo people. Man, I wish some days I'm like, you know what? I got a perfectly useless brain right here. Lobotomize me.
Easy knowing that the entirety of the Imperium, because they outlaw AI and learning new tech is heresy, is run on lobotomized slaves. Whether they deserve it or not is unimportant, and whether they can still keep their consciousness trapped in their own minds is another thing entirely.
Oh.
Is showing.
An excerpt from the Servitor Creation
Oh
Factories.
my.
Naked human beings were standing in a switch-packed line between high fences. The Manufactorum produced servitors, but it was more akin to an abattoir than a workshop. Every surface was easily cleanable. Servitors with spray units surgically attached to their backs prowled about, hosing filth from slit drains set into the perfectly smooth, slanted floors. As the line slowly advanced, the people were passed through various scanning devices, most of them mounted in ugly, functional arches that let out a constant series of acceptance chimes. Occasionally, one would let out an angry blare, and the indicator lumens would flash red. The rejected person was then swallowed up by a trapdoor opening beneath their feet. From these pits wafted a hideous stench and the grinding sounds of industrial mincers. One rejected man grabbed onto the lip and hung there, arms and hands bloodied, shouting a stream of defiant profanities. Guards lined the grating either side of him and shocked him until he fell. The adepts wouldn't even waste bullets on these people. The trapdoor flipped up, and the next terrified person was ushered forward. Violent metal arms snatched them up and spread-eagled them in the air, and a servitor shearer shaved them all over. At another, they were subjected to a high-pressure counterseptic wash whose chemical stink made me choke from 100 feet away. More scanners, more rejects winnowed out. Machines forcibly dressed them in a heavy rubberized garment common to all monotask servitors. These were saggy on them, all one size, until another process shrank them to fit their bodies, where metal cuffs, sockets, and collars bit into vulnerable flesh. The last few prayers gave way to screams at that point, and even the most stoic shouted in pain. They were ushered over a floor, buzzing with power that made them shriek with every footstep. What's that for? I asked. Follicular inhibitor. To stop their hair from growing, he said. Freaking sweet, Lois! As for their scientific pursuits, the mechanic...
Wait, what? That's how they make servitors? But, okay, hear me out. Why do they do that to people when they could just build robots that do all that? Like, they are mechanicas, right? Like, why waste your time making a human into that when you could just build a better robot version? Robots are banned? Oh, I thought they let robots... Oh, okay. I thought they let the mechanicas do their little robot things, but they have to be attached to a human to be okay? They must still have a will at that point. Where's the lobotomy? Yeah, when does the lobotomy happen? After that? I see. The AI gets corrupted by chaos too easily. Huh. So robots bad. Also heretics are... Wait, they're doing that to the heretics? I missed that part. I thought this was just like random poor people that they didn't want. That makes sense. I guess like a prisoner of war or something. Probably both. Well, that too. So, sometimes it is poor people. Basically anybody that they don't care about or no one will miss. And also people that will be missed. Basically anyone. No one is safe unless you're high ranking. So, okay. So they cannot have just robots because they have to be tied to a person because AI bad, robot bad. Because of the AI war. That makes sense. Me saying, yeah, that makes sense. I can see why they have servitors. That makes sense. Oh my god, I'm being brainwashed. It's working on me. I understand the logic of why they do this.
Can believe in the preservation of knowledge above all and the quest to expand it. However, as opposed to just innovating and inventing on their own with their vast technological know-how, they believe that it is a form of tech heresy. You see, because of their religious viewpoints on technology itself, they believe that the instruction booklet itself is just as holy as the Lego set it built.
Oh, it's like their Bible. The instruction booklet. But like, oh wait, see this guy's got like wires coming out of his mouth? Do you think they still taste things or do they get rid of that? Do you think they just like live in pain or do they get rid of that? Or is that like part of their worship to their Mechanicus god? Is taste efficient or needed? But there's a nice little treat. Oh, probably took his tongue out to be more efficient. I wonder what they eat then. I saw Warhammer and you were learning about my faction. Praised to be the Omnisci. Your faction's wild, man. Your faction's wild. Some tech priests are just a brain with eyes in a jar. It can vary. Huh.
And to innovate on that without the proper written knowledge is to go against the divine word of the machine god itself. All knowledge is already in the universe. You simply need to rediscovering it and attempting to invent something to improve upon divinity is very heretical. Prior to the Age of Strife, humanity was able to populate the stars with devices known as Standard Template Constructs, or STCs. These devices were, as far as we know, supercomputers with the ability to pull up and detail how to create literally anything a startup colony would need. Essentially, they were devices with the entirety of human technological know-how so that you could make a home away from home. The Mechanicum will not make anything without an STC. quite literally nothing, because this is the knowledge they seek, and that knowledge is divine. One time, scouts of the Imperial Guard found a functioning STC that provided the schematics on a knife that happened to—
But who makes the STCs? Are they just found out in the wild? Did I miss that? They own old humans. Wait, what? Wait, the super high-tech Mechanicus followed the STCs from humans in the Dark Age of technology? Oh, like from the AI time? Like before all that stuff happened? Yeah. Oh, okay, I see. I thought you were talking about like cavemen. I thought you meant like the dark times, like cavemen. I'm like, wait, they're learning how to like make stuff from like us? I see, the dark age of technology. That was when we had robots that took over. That's what they're learning from. That makes more sense. Okay.
To be a bit lighter and a bit sharper than most other knives. These knives were adopted by 30 Space Marine chapters and were one of the most advanced discoveries of the century. This discovery was so significant that they were each awarded a planet for finding this. A planet for a machine that taught them how to make knives. Due to their religious organization, you can probably guess the Mechanicum are organized in a feudal structure, with the highest individuals in power being a part of the priesthood. Cream of the crop being the fabricator general of Mars itself, who serves as a high lord of Terra, but also oversees the entirety of the Mechanicum below. Below them are tech priests that oversee the cult for the quest of knowledge and other more straightforward theocracy. Forge worlds tend to operate slightly more independently, what can cause some power struggles within the Mechanicum, because, you know, despite them—
Their little is that canon that their little ships here are skull like heads, like skull heads? Like, is that their thing? That's crazy. Servo skulls, not ship. Oh, those aren't ships. Those are okay. I mean, they look like they got little boosters, so I thought they were like ships. Okay.
All being weird robots, they love being given praise. And despite being the manufacturing end of the Imperium, they do actually have their own military forces. They have the Skitarii Private Army and all their various 1920s Martian-style mechanisms like Doom Crawlers, Castellan robots, and of course, the Titan Legions, because nothing is cooler than a robot that towers over buildings. Ultimately, their very dogmatic view on technology as a whole has resulted in any innovation becoming absent, thus causing the Imperium to stagnate as a whole. The lack of ambition to create anything new and the wholesale murder of anyone who even tries leads to things becoming derelict. I grow weary of this flesh I was born into, strangely disgusted by its nature. I crave only the cold, clean certainty of steel and silicon, that I might become one with the blessed machine. I do not expect you to understand, you who cling to your flesh as if it were immortal, seeking only to preserve it, to protect it. One day you will see the folly of your ways, and then no doubt you will come begging to my order to preserve you. After the ground—
So these guys, they're not gonna get down with my 10-step skincare routine, are they? They're gonna say, take your skin off and replace it with silicone. They don't have skin. But do you think that they like lube themselves up to keep the joints nice and spry? That's their skin's care. They better. So am I understanding right that they don't believe in creating anything new? They just follow these old schematics. But then how are they so, unless your call. So how are they so advanced? Because you're not gonna advance if you're not making any like technological experiments, right? Oh, he just invents stuff and buries it and then discovers it. They're just hanging on to what was lost from humans before. They believe that all knowledge is already created. Some do innovate. But then I wonder what they think of other... Like, I wonder what they think of the Necrons. Because they are the opposite of them. They are more technologically advanced and they keep doing new things. Oh, they hate them. Absolutely hate them. Okay, that makes sense. They're like two sides of a coin, kind of. I just have a hard time believing that they're so brainwashed that there's none of them that think, maybe the Necrons know what they're doing. Like, you think there's one or two higher up Mechanicus that are like, I wonder, you know what? Maybe they know what they're doing and we can like learn from them. That's heresy. Sounds pretty heretical to me. Okay, I know. I'm just saying, hypothetically. Xenos tech is entirely heretical. To be fair, they're called cult Mechanicus for a reason. They all follow the same belief. Think of it this way. Innovation made the abominable intelligence, so we shouldn't do that. Okay, that's true. That's true. They're trying not to get blown up again by AI, I guess. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a heretic, but I think Necrons are based. I think we should all be friends and share technology. Anyways.
Groundwork had been set unification-wise, it was time to start getting things together for the Emperor's great crusade across the stars to bring humanity under one banner. The Thunder Warriors were a perfect fighting force for unifying Terra and Luna, but the galaxy was a whole different thing. You see, these warriors weren't soldiers in the eyes of the Emperor. They were tools, extremely blunt tools used for the fast conquest of Terra. As the Emperor was concerned, the tools you use at home aren't the same ones you take on a road trip. So the Emperor rid himself of his tools in the exact manner you—
Hey, I was about to talk about calling in the Inquisitor. You know what? I don't think the Inquisitors need to know what we talk about over here, okay? There's any Inquisitors in chat? No, there isn't. I'm gonna shut that down right now. We are not bringing the Inquisitors in your chat. This is a totally say so Dawn the heretical stream for the Emperor.
You think he did, and he went forward to crafting a brand new tool. One more mobile, more efficient, and ready for his next era of conquest. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay, I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war forge them. They will be of iron will and steely muscle. In great armor shall I clad them, and with the mightiest guns will they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease. No sickness will blight them. They will have tactics, strategies, and machines so that no foe can best them in battle. They will be my bulwark against the terror. They—
I thought he was gonna say, they will be my babies. My little sweet babies. But no, they're the bulwarks.
Are the defenders of humanity. They are my soul.
Space Marines, let's go!
And they shall know no fear. The vastness of the Milky Way galaxy meant that the Emperor needed assistance bringing everyone back to the fold. And who better to do this than himself? But since the technology to be in many places at once does not exist anymore, the Emperor decided that it was time to become a dad, the same way Geppetto did, and with far less care. It is not my son, Archon. None of them are. They are warlords, generals, tools bred to serve a purpose, just as legions were bred to serve a purpose.
Typical man right there. Dad? Daddy? I'm not your dad, I'm the Emperor.
What a dad. The Primarch Project was started to create charismatic and unique leaders in the Imperial military. The diversity of these eventual leaders meant that each one could be specialized for certain circumstances across the galaxy. Depending on the type of conflict, one leader might be better than the
Whoa. Is that Sanguinus, the angel guy? He's so pretty. He's so beautiful. Such an angel. Such a vision. He had actual wings. He's so beautiful. I love him.
other. So instead of forcing one leader to acclimate to a situation directly, it would be better to send a specialized leader and force to handle it. In order to do this, the Emperor used his genetic know-how and maybe a little bit of that forbidden stuff to create these genetically perfect gene fathers that had the ability to serve as his analog directly, and also serve as the leaders of the respective Space Marine legions. All 18, that's right, all 19 of his sons were meant to be directly molded by the Emperor himself, despite their genetic differences. And they go as follows in order: Lionel Johnson, Fulgrim, Percherabo, Jagatai Khan, Lehman Russ, Rogel Dorn, Conrad Kurz, Sanguinius, Ferris Manus, Angron, Robute Gilliman, Mortarion, Magnus the Red, Horus Lupercal, Lorgar Aurelian, Vulcan, Corvus Corax, and Alfarius and Omegon.
Oh my god, how do you remember them all? It's hard enough for me to remember the factions, let alone the Primarchs for each faction. Man.
His sons, finalized and crafted to be the warriors he needed them to be, were complete. But he may have decided to do a bit of dabbling with things he shouldn't have, and paid a price. Before the Primarchs were ready to go, an intervention by the gods of chaos prevented his plan from being completed as intended. Though the sources vary, the ultimate result of the Chaos God intervention was that all of the Emperor's tools were scattered throughout the galaxy at unknown places and times. Each one of his sons ended up in a completely different world, and instead of being able to directly influence their upbringing, these children were instead forced to experience the unique nature of their respective homeworlds. Some had a great time and lived in general luxury. Others, not so much. Despite—
Oh, was that Angron? The one that looked all sad, had a bad time. I need to read his story. I think he's my favorite. Because I know he's a real sad boy. I mean, real angry now, but I mean, I really like him.
his closest advisor, Malkador the Sigillite, saying, "All right, Chief, let's try this one again," the Emperor sensed each of his sons were still very much alive, and one of the primary objectives of the Great Crusade shifted to reclaiming each of his sons so they could take command of their specific Space Marine legions and carry out his will. These original Space Marine legions that were created alongside their Primarchs go in order: the Dark Angels, Emperor's Children, Iron Warriors, White Scars, Space Wolves, Imperial Fists, Night Lords, Blood Angels, Iron Hands, World Eaters, Ultramarines, Death Guard, Thousand Sons, Luna Wolves, eventually Sons of Horus, the Word Bearers, Salamanders, Raven Guard, and the Alpha Legion.
Wow.
Space Marines, unlike their gene fathers, the Primarchs are not made in a vat. There is a process to recruit more members from humanity itself, which seems a bit strange considering how massive a Space Marine is compared to a normal man, but don't forget, the Emperor is really good with genetics. Less good with anesthetic, however. These prospects are recruited across humanity from various reasons and methods, and are generally killed during that process. But sometimes they aren't, and they are able to go through more and more of the actual training to assess.
What is the cinematic from? Is this from the game or is it actual cinematics? Because I have to watch the cinematics and that looks really good. Oh, it's from Space Marines 2? Oh, the trailer. We should play that then. We should really play it. It looks really good.
Certain traits that are important and relevant to being a Space Marine. Most of the time, the common factor is a pure, unrelenting willingness to kill the enemies of the Imperium. After going through psychological screening, the prospect, now called a neophyte, goes under the knife to become a Space Marine. And here is a quick list of all the cool new stuff they get genuinely shoved into their bodies. A secondary heart, an organ that makes your bones grow, an organ that makes your muscles big, an implant that makes your blood stronger, a little organ that turns your white blood cells into super white blood cells, a brain implant that allows you to sleep while being awake, a priest.
I want that. I want that. I want that. Do you think they can actually make that? I want that. Ice road trucker brain.
Stomach that allows you to digest literally anything, a spinal implant that allows you to absorb the genetic memories of what you eat, bigger and better lungs that can let you breathe underwater, an implant that gives you stronger eyes, new ears that keep you from being dizzy, a brain implant that lets you go into suspended animation if you're in a bad shape, skin that acts like transition glasses, I almost got it in one take, a brand new kidney, the ability to taste the air and find enemies like a bloodhound, a special coating on your skin that allows you to be protected in space, the ability to spit acid, a gland that allows you to absorb the unique genetic makeup from the gene seed in the first place, and a straight up carapace that allows the Space Marine to interface with their power armor directly. Quite often.
Wait. He said they can get the memories of genetic material that they eat? So if you eat a person, you get the person's memories? Space Wolves do this a lot? Oh. Oh, just the brain. Oh. I wonder if you got... Okay, I wonder if you ate the brain of a Tyranid, would you get the hive mind's memories? Or just that of the Tyranid, what it experienced? No. Oh, dang it. I thought I had figured it out. Me. A simple girl. I thought I had figured it out. How to defeat the Tyranids. Eat them. Not usually deep stuff, but like strategic locations and whatnot. Oh, okay. But if you eat like a Brussels sprout, do you like see its life cycle of being grown in the dirt? And just it vibe in there? Oh, it has to be a brain. He said genetic material, so I thought like, you know, anything. I see. Interesting.
These are put inside of you at dubious levels of mental alertness and dubious levels of anesthetic. After a more generalized indoctrination into the faith of the Imperium and a bit more training and other important manners, they can finally be welcomed as a fully fledged Space Marine. A Space Marine is quite literally a walking tank that is armed to the teeth. Two of the more iconic weapons held by a Space Marine are their bolt gun, which fires explosive shells the size of soda cans, and a chain sword, which is... The Space Marine is clad in a colorful carapace known as power armor, crafted from extremely heavy and durable ceramite. The power armor of a Space Marine protects him from any terrors he may face, be it the void of space itself to an inhospitable atmosphere. This armor, combined almost biologically with an already massive physique, makes the Space Marine an almost unstoppable fighting force. And hell, if the armor doesn't protect them enough, they can always become a walking coffin like the dreadnoughts of the chapters are. What truly adds to it all, however, is the sheer difference in some of them. While a Space Marine in its own right is an indoctrinated freight train on legs, how they act can be quite different from chapter to chapter. The gene seed of a Primarch is not just helping them become big and strong, but allows them to gain certain traits from their forefathers. Everything from how they think to even slightly adjusting their physical appearance once it's been implanted.
I feel like the gene seeds are like subclasses. Also, Grey Knights are really cool. I really like the Grey Knights. But it's like they're just like subclasses of Space Marines, kind of.
Gene seed can be the personality of an entire Space Marine. Take the Salamanders, for example. Salamanders have a predisposition to fire. as a whole, and tend to be extremely large due to the size of their Primarch, Vulcan, and his enormous stature.
Damn.
Whereas someone like Sanguinius, Primarch of the Blood Angels, share more vampiric features and more angel-like qualities. A gene seed is not just aspects of the Primarchs, but they are also flaws too. Magnus the Red and his 1,000 Sons underwent something known as the Flesh Change, a horrifying mutation that, while it made them strong psychers, would affect their bodies so terribly that they would mutate away from humanity.
I feel like I mutated them to look sexy. If you look at, what's his name, Magnus? It's a sexy mutation.
Where other factions have inspiration for their culture from our real world, like the feudal Japanese of the Eldar or Egyptian style the Necrons, each Space Marine chapter themselves carry an inspiration. The White Scars are motorcycle riding Mongolian fighters. The Space Wolves are Norse Vikings. The Dark Angels are Knights of the Round Table, and so on. This moves into their fighting style, and truthfully, there is no end to the characters and options when it comes to the Space Marines. Space Marines
Oh, it's just Magnus that looks like that. Everyone else is just like globs of flesh. My bad. I rescind that. I take it. I thought I was judging that based off of Magnus. My bad.
Are the main symbol you see, and while many of them can be simply indoctrinated warriors who only care about conflict and can be quite boring, then you meet Dante, or Bjorn, or Argel Tal, or Karn, or Lucius, or Erebus. And then you discover the wealth of these characters and tools of war you can have. For 1100 years, I have fought and I have seen the darkness in our galaxy. I have seen the vileness of the alien and the heresy of the mutant. I have witnessed the sin of possession, and I have seen all the evil that the galaxy harbors, and I have slain all whose presence defiles the Emperor. I have seen what you will see. I have fought what you must fight, and I have slain what you must slay. So fear not and be proud, for we are the sons of Sanguinius, the protectors of mankind. We are indeed the angels of death. Despite being the poster children for Warhammer 40k as a whole, the presence of a Space Marine is a rare sight.
Oh my god, that guy got chainsawed in half! He got eviscerated! He got chainsawed right in half. Holy, that was crazy.
For the countless trillions of humans across the galaxy. Seeing one of these monstrosities is like seeing something akin to an angel sent by the Emperor himself.
He crushed his skull with his hand! And did I see that right? Did he literally grab that guy's face and crush it with his hand? Whoa! That's secret level and it goes hard. Whoa! Can we watch that? Can we watch that?
Angels of Death are the essential fighting force to bring humanity back under the unified banner of the Imperium. Yet ultimately, the Space Marines are individuals torn from their families and conscripted to genetic modification and lifelong service for the dying Imperium.
I'm sorry, I wasn't even paying attention to what Bricky said because I'm watching people get absolutely annihilated behind him. It's a 120-minute episode. Oh, maybe we could watch it in the Discord together. She has to watch Astartes. I don't even know what Bricky's talking about. I'm just watching people get absolutely ruined.
Imperium. And though they are held in an almost holy light, most believe they are above and beyond the people they are designed to serve. Once designed as the protectors of humanity,
oh, child soldiers. Got it. Okay. Oh, this is stuff we already do about Space Marines.
they seldom view humanity as something worth saving, to the extent that it is a tiny, minute rarity, though not unheard of, for a Space Marine to put a normal citizen above them in any way. For most Space Marines and even their Primarchs, they are only here to do a job. They are there to kill the enemies of humanity, and I would be remiss if I didn't add at least one more of my favorite quotes to the tail end of this section. "The time for speeches is done," said Rogel Dorn. "The first great test is here. My order to you all is simple, yet heed it well, and exert yourselves to see it done. They are coming. Kill them all." While the Space Marines are the spearhead of the Imperium's Great Crusade and also a major player in its warfare, there is a significant amount of importance that must be taken on their transport. What sci-fi universe would be complete without its navy? When you think of the navy or ships on the open sea, you think of something that is sleek, something mobile, and something pretty big. For perspective, the longest self-propelled ship in history was the TTC-Wise Giant, an oil tanker that was about 458 meters long or over about 1,500 feet. This right here is child's play in the world of 40K ships. A ship that is considered to be an escort vessel in the Imperium is about 3 times the size of a Sea-Wise Giant.
Wait, do they not have normal ships for the water anymore? Or do they all fly? That's crazy. What the heck?
And the size of the ships only go up from there. Your most common ships are the cruisers. The light cruisers.
Wait, there's no water? Wait, there's no water left? There's no water on Terra? Oh, what? When did that happen? Oh. I'm imagining Terra as just being like a beautiful, lush earth. We encased Terra in metal. Oh, I missed that part. It's fully industrialized. Okay, this makes a lot more sense, actually. They needed more space to put parking lots, so they removed the water. But we learned in science class that a planet needs water to be inhabitable. Terra is, not to put too fine a point on it, a shithole. Got it. Thanks, Grand Tourist. Thank you. The Emperor literally sentenced the woman who stole the last drop of water on Terra to death. Whoa, imagine being the person who stole the last drop of water. Oh, that's true. With space travel, there's a million other worlds that can provide the water. Whoa, so they're getting their water bottles from like a different planet? I wonder if they have like tier lists of the best planets with the best water for like the elite. A Nestle planet? Yeah.
Tends to average at about 2 kilometers long, or just over a mile in length, where the Dictator class cruisers can be over 3 kilometers or 2 miles in length. The largest ships are your battleships, and they are tremendous. We're talking 5-mile long, half a mile high monstrosities that look like gigantic Gothic cathedrals and filled to the brim with weaponry. And not only are they filled with weapons, but they are also jam-packed with crewmen. Battleships tend to, on average, carry a crew between several thousand to several million.
What?
And they need every single one of those members because we don't have advanced technology for other things to pilot themselves or control themselves in a meaningful way because there's no AI. A lot of this stuff has to be done manually. Even the reloading of those giant batteries is a form of manual labor.
Oh my
God. Of course,
God.
generally speaking.
Wait, they consider that AI? Reloading things? They don't even have simple like programs to do that? Whoa, that's blowing my mind. I didn't realize they were that strict about it. Doors are people, loaders are people, calculators are people, people are cheaper. Some ships are large enough to have trains? Why build a complex machine for reloading when you have bodies? But haven't we learned that complex machines are more efficient than bodies? Because you have to feed the bodies. You have to house the bodies. I know they're against it though, because of the AI war. That's true. Cost versus efficiency. I guess. Oh, that's where the servitors come in. Oh. That's crazy! They just have like all this manual labor still? It's cool because like, it's such a, I don't know if this is the right word, dichotomy. That's probably not the right word, but it's so like such a stark contrast. You can't see my hands moving right now, but like look at this piece of technology. Look at this magnificent boat. space boat. It looks amazing. It's cool. But you have manual humans loading it. Like, it's such a contrast. Like, this is such a cool technologically advanced boat, but you, like, have people loading it because you don't believe in AI. I don't know, it's really blowing my mind. It's so cool. Hello, everybody from YouTube. Hi.
Gliding through the stars is a very slow way to do things. And let's be honest,
Juxtaposition. Thank you. I'm so sorry. I was trying to think of the word. Juxtaposition is what I was thinking of. Yes.
there can't be a science fiction setting without some form of hyperspace travel. This form of travel in 40K is less like going to Plaid in Spaceballs and more like going into Davy Jones' zipper dimension in SpongeBob.
Oh, now what? I suppose you're gonna show me. Oh, gee, that's very nice. Oh, what is this? Some kind of magic act?
This is because it utilizes the immaterial warp to do so. Warp travel is handled by a navigator, which is an abhuman. It's a mutated human, don't worry about it. And they have a gene that gives them a third eye and the ability to help steer the ship through the warp, which, as we know, is hell itself and unreality. Now, this might sound exceptionally dangerous, and that's because it is. Now, the ship does have protection in the form of a Geller field, though. Originally, I assumed the Geller field is what you think it is.
Is that Captain Picard from Star Trek?
A large force field stopping all manner of horrible things, like demons from the warp tearing apart your ship. How wrong I was, though. So, space...
Oh, that's from Dune? Wait, that's the same actor, right, though? Is it? Am I just mixing up bald men in space movies? Okay, thank you. I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. Okay, Sir Patrick Stewart. Okay.
Travel through the warp basically involves riding on the Sea of Souls. Hell is real and you can surf on it. So you allow the current to carry you and the navigator to direct. But how can a current of souls and unreality carry you when it doesn't obey the laws of physics, time, or, again, reality? What a Geller field is not a force field, but a comatose imperial psyker dreaming of reality. It is not a bubble. It is a force of reality being projected by mutant Sleeping Beauty to counteract the unreality of the warp that you can then surf on. This, of course, is not a foolproof method of travel, and Geller fields can and do collapse fairly regularly. Being subjected to the warp itself without this Geller field is a terrifying prospect. In the best case scenario, your ship will be torn to shreds. But there are countless instances of ships being thrown out of the warp randomly throughout time itself. You leave for a 2-day mission and you come back 90 years in the past. Maybe you feel like you're lost in the warp for a century and it's only been 45 minutes. And that is only if the waves of souls don't rip your ship apart or have demons arrive on it to do unspeakable things to the crew. The Imperial Navy is an astronomically powerful force for the Imperium because the sheer volume of ships and guns on those ships create firepower that can sunder planets. This is all juxtaposed with the sheer backwater nature of these ships. While they are manned by crews of zealots, they are also operated with such a backwater tech, it completely confuses the reader. You see the long batteries of portside cannons that the ship has, and remember that AI is heresy in this world and that all the mechanics are utilized by lobotomized slaves. So how do they load these? Well, they have gun gangs, massive gangs of hundreds of people manually loading these cannons. These are genuine gun loader gangs that get into gang wars and squabbles.
No way, what? They're actually gangs? They're not just called that? Why? What is there to squabble about? You're just reloading guns. Huh? Are they just squabbling about whose gun is bigger? Who's the fastest loader? No AI in these streets. Just pure human slave power. Damn.
On the ship's bridge, you may find the captain himself hardwired directly into the ship's chair permanently to control it the best they can. Giant screens of hololith data fill the room, and sensors across the ship are just as likely to tell you information as a serf running up to you with a scroll of parchment is.
What? Do they have carrier pigeons too? I feel like they got carrier pigeons. If they got people running up, they got messengers from the medieval days on these boats. What? They got carrier babies? Oh yeah, the cherubs. Wow.
You reach to a microphone to shout orders down a hallway as paper readouts tell you information of the enemy, and holy sigils and candlelit incense burners gleam your next move. While the
Okay.
is not a specific faction of the Imperium in the same sense and format of this video, it is what shepherds around the entirety of its armed forces. Every Space Marine Primarch had a flagship, and every strike cruiser and battle barge has a story to tell. But if there is a single thing that the Shield of the Navy does the best, it is to help support and supply the monumental forces of the Imperium. The hammer of the Emperor himself, the uncountable men and women of the...
Yeah, okay. Imperial
I don't care if
Guard.
these things have adapted to resist our las guns. If we can't kill them with our rifles, then we'll kill them with heavy bolters. And if we can't kill them with heavy weapons, we'll use grenades. And if grenades don't work, then we'll fight them with our swords and our knives and our bare hands.
Oh.
We'll drown them in our blood.
Whoa.
That's what it means to be a soldier of the Imperial Guard. Now follow me. Charge! There is no better symbol of the might of the Imperium itself than the Astra Militarum, or as it is commonly known, the Imperial Guard. Though the Space Marines take the glory and stand as the visual representation of the Imperium, their numbers are dramatically thin and specialized in comparison. To reclaim a million...
The Imperial Guard are just like regular guys. They're just like regular army dudes. Imagine drowning someone in your own blood? Like you got no weapons left, you got nothing left, so you use your own blood to drown someone? That's so metal. That's kind of cool. They are a horde army. They're just like, oh yeah, this army is like ants, right? You need so many of them to do things. When all else fails, it's a numbers game. The Guard is one of the 3 armies I own on tabletop. I feel like, yeah, the little green army guys that kids play with. That's what they remind me of.
worlds, you need a countless number of troops willing to fight and die for your cause. The Imperial Guard represents the Imperial truth made manifest. Every year, the worlds of the Imperium pay a tithe in the form of soldiers to fight the good fight of the Emperor, and this number is impossible to pin down. Even saying billions would be a dramatic understatement.
What?
The sheer volume of soldiers serves as the fundamental backbone of the Imperium. 99.9% of battles fought by the Imperium are fought by the sundering might of the Imperial Guard. With the knowledge that the Space Marines are essentially sentient tanks, what do the members of the Imperial Guard have? If they're the might of the Emperor himself, are they not suited up in a similar way? No. Not really. No fancy suits, no biological enhancements, and basically no expectation to live.
Ah! These guys are cannon fodder! Remember, you don't have a skeleton inside of you. You're a brain. You're inside of a skeleton. You're piloting a bone mech that's using meat armor until we meet again. What? Wow, they're meat meant to clog the grinder. That's crazy. How are these guys not scared? The brainwashing that goes on. You're going up against all these crazy space marines or I guess, well, chaos space marines. Xenos guys, and you're just a dude with a gun? they are scared. They get shot regularly for desertion. Oh man, damn, this is rough. Just fighting chaos with the boys. I guess, what are you gonna do about it? They turn you into a servitor if you say no. About 10 to 20% of a planet's population gets taken for the Imperial Guard. Oh, when they take a planet, I guess, yeah, they would take people for their army. That makes sense.
Once a regiment of guard are activated, they are sent directly into battle with almost no expectations that they will survive. This is because, despite their training, their incredibly powerful armor, and extremely strong weapons that would crush any army of the modern day, they are so hopelessly outmatched to the things they will face.
They have a cool kind of aesthetic. They look like, at least this guy. Do they just look like normal soldiers, or like this kind of like Cold War or something aesthetic? They look cool. They remind me of like, this literally reminds me of Call of Duty. Oh, each group looks different from planet to planet. That makes sense. That's the guy who executes them. Yeah, it's World War I, World War II vibes. That's what I was thinking.
Sending a member of the guard is throwing a rock at a nuclear bomb. However, where they lack in advancement, they make up for in sheer numbers, and their overwhelming force can be the difference maker in any deployment they face. Quantity is a quality all its own.
True.
If they do happen to survive, they will be sent to the next battle, and so on. Seldom do members of the Astra Militarum get old or retire, and those that do are truly to be feared. There's an old saying that the average lifespan of a guardsman is about 15 hours from deployment, and considering the sheer number of guardsmen out there in any given battle, that number is probably accurate.
15 hours. Oh my God, what?
When several million of your pool of guardsmen die within the first few hours of combat because the orcs threw a moon at you, it can really screw the numbers. The soldiers of the guard are conscripted and trained on an incredible number of worlds in the Imperium, and these worlds can impact their training and their combat style directly. The most famous visually are the Cadian shock troops.
Oh, we're talking about Cadia. It's gonna get sad in here. Cadia stands!
But other notable guard factions include the gas mask clad Death Corps of Krieg, the Rambo level of Catachan jungle fighters, and the iron willed Mordian Iron Guard. This also helps them specialize against individual types of enemies. The Indigan Prefects are a special guard regiment that came from a planet whose planetary governor, the leader of the planet, thought it was fun to collect exotic animals, which then crossbreed and then became the giant freight train sized monsters destroying the planet. So
What?
the Indigan Prefects are specialized for big monsters. Hello, Tyranids. One particularly interesting officer in the Guard is the enforcement officer known as the Commissar, and they are one of the more visually striking members of a regiment. These are specialized Imperial officers and act as morale officers, but instead of singing songs to the
Whoa, she looks like a pirate. Or like Napoleon. Both?
troops and providing hot meals, the commissars are there to make sure that the members of the regiment continue to fight to the bitter end. If a soldier does not meet the standards of the commissar, the solution is simple. There are trillions of other soldiers out there. We don't really need you. Combat fatigue? Headshot. Concerns about the conflict? Headshot. Fleeing the battlefield? You bet that's a headshot.
Do the commissars really just look for people who aren't fighting and kill them? Damn. That's cold. Even if you're just tired? If you're just like sitting down for a moment to tie your boot? Headshot. Look at the flowers. They're required to. That's their main job. They are the morale officer. Oh my god! That's a crazy name for them. The morale officer. Napping on the job is a headshot.
Considering that these
Wow.
officers tend to be outside of their regiment, feelings on them can be mixed. And in fairness, certain commissars, like the esteemed Ibram Gaunt or Caiaphas Cain, tend to do a bit better with the whole people talking part. Because if, say, you were trying to tell a beefed up Catachan jungle fighter what to do, you might take a mysterious leave of absence inside a carnivorous plant. But no matter what I say, I don't think I can truly convey the sheer might of the Imperial Guard, so I'm gonna get a visual aid. Let's take a look at this
Okay.
image right here, right? This is the cover of the 9th edition Codex for the Astra Militarum, the official cover art. Your eyes may be drawn to the dark and brutal looks of some of the main members on the front and the gigantic orc they are attacking.
Whoa.
But zoom out a little bit. There is no floor. There is only people, and behind those people are tanks, and behind those tanks are flying artillery shells. There
What?
are 2 enormous transport ships in the sky, and their ramps are down, and on their ramps are more people. The
What?
Imperium is described as having 1,000,000 worlds. 1,000,000 worlds. And each one
What?
of them gives soldiers to the Imperial Guard for the tithe. On
What? My brain is like, cannot comprehend these numbers. What? 1,000,000 worlds supply the army? They take a tithe from a 1,000,000 worlds? Just do 8 billion times 1,000,000? How? Okay, but if there's no floor, if they're like that packed in there, how are they shooting anything? They would just be shooting each other. I don't know much about military tactics, but that's crazy. Yes. What's wrong with that? Oh my god, this is crazy. Don't need tactics, just have people. Don't care, just shoot. Okay, yeah, okay. The drown them in blood makes a lot more sense now because there's a lot more blood than I was picturing. I was picturing a normal military army. Normal quotations. This I understand now. I understand there's a lot of blood that they can drown in. Imagine it like this. Over 1,000,000 worlds the Imperium owns. And at minimum, they give at least 10k people a year. That number of the Guard versus Space Marines is this. For every Space Marine in service, there is roughly 30 million Guardsmen? Wow.
On
Okay.
a given battlefield, in a given fight, foot soldiers number in the millions, tanks in the tens of thousands, and you have enough artillery to turn the night sky day. You have walkers
Whoa.
and APCs and aircraft and horse cavalry and tanks the size of apartment buildings. You have drop troops and spec ops and rattling snipers and gigantic ogres that can't count to 4, but they can turn you into 4 pieces, and it just doesn't end. Humanity is a horde army, but instead of a horde of bugs or
Whoa, I just realized that's all people down there. Wait, that's people down there, right? Oh my god.
rampaging
What?
orcs, it's a living wall of guns. At the end of the day, though he's been ferried through hell on a ship that's 10,000 years old to some godforsaken war-torn rock, though he deployed from high orbit with nothing but a grav chute, though he is one of 10 million men and women snatched from his homeworld to fight a war he barely understands,
Oh.
though he has been given a weapon that fires small suns and may annihilate him as he fires because the knowledge of how it functions has been lost, though his company is supported by tractor tanks that run on anything you can burn, though he wages war against the devouring hive mind, ravenous demons and hordes of hyper-advanced aliens with strange technologies and sorceries he never dreamed existed. No one will remember his sacrifice. There will be no records of his deeds, no glorious parades in his honor, and no remembrance of his name. All he will earn is a shallow, unmarked grave on a forgotten world untold light years from home. Yet for all this thankless sacrifice, a guardsman is a man, just like you. He has no millennia-old genetic engineering, no prophetic leader, no miracles of faith. He has his lasgun, his orders, and those beside him. He is the Imperial Guard, and he will hold the line.
Damn. 07 Imperial Guard. He's just a guy just doing his job. I feel like the Imperial Guard is like the saddest faction. That's so sad. They're like not even people. They just exist to shoot for a couple hours. There are sadder than this, but like it's just such a meaningless loss of life. I guess it's not meaningless if they wins wars. You do it because your family might be standing with you, your best friend, and you have a lot of you, I guess. I guess you don't really have a choice either. The indomitable human spirit. Meaningless. I didn't mean meaningless. Don't call the Inquisitors on me. Nope. I've misuse of words.
In the end, the Astra Militarum, despite fighting for the honor of the Imperium, are their own form of a massive horde army where individuality does not matter. They are merely numbers to the Imperium, and the vast majority of the conflicts they are sent to are attrition-based battles that gain virtually no ground while countless millions die. Yet this makes them the most human. For the Imperial Guard contains normal people, people who are happy and sad, people who laugh and love, and in there are stories, because there is strength in facing the horrors of the universe head on with nothing but a rifle in your hands and a prayer on your lips. Armed with an innumerable amount of Imperial soldiers and Space Marines, the Navy begins its great crusade into the stars to rescue the stranded Primarchs and reunite them to their legions. But the biggest question needed to be asked was, what would they find? The age of strife lasted for thousands of years. If a civilization was still alive out there in the galaxy, what would they be like? The technological advancements of humanity prior to and during the Dark Age technology was unfathomable. It allowed them to spread through the galaxy with ease and allowed them to settle once inhospitable planets. These branches of humanity were provided with the vast knowledge of human creations and were given gigantic machines to make arduous labor and ease. The spreading of these massive colony ships was known as the Long March, and these ships would be retrofitted into settlements upon arrival to their new homes. Accompanying them were the gigantic pieces of farm equipment that served multiple purposes and the specialized pilots that could maintain them. They were not only able to tend the fields and do labor, but when interstellar communication was cut off, they also did a great job of protecting the colonists.
Look at all the little baby skulls. Those are their messengers? Their messenger skulls? Creepy.
Against both threats demonic and alien. Because of the significance of these machines, those that could pilot them were powerful enough to be considered leaders, and the upkeep and preservation of the machines and the lineage of those who could pilot them was imperative. These machines, over the thousands of years, would eventually be known as the...
Oh, the Imperial Knights, the big boys. We're gonna turn Stim's tractor into a tank. So you could be a farmer? Wait, you could be a farmer Imperial Knight? I want that. I want to be a farmer Imperial Knight.
He must be humble of heart, strong of arm, be savage in war, loyal to hearth, and follow deeds of glory. He must keep honor with all, banish cowardice from his doings, and bring his house no shame. He must serve the Emperor and defend the Imperium, thus should a knight rule himself. The age of strife caused these colonized worlds to be cut off from the Imperium.
Whoa, he's got a face on his shield, on his crest. Imperial Knights look so cool. They kind of look like turtles, turtle people. But they're really cool. They're not farmers anymore. Oh, now you're a noble knight, not a dirty peasant. Okay, I see. They were farmer mechs, and now that they're nobility.
Imperium, and the reversion of these worlds resulted in the reverence for this farm equipment turned feudal, and the leadership that controlled the devices became viewed as a noble hierarchy. During the age of strife, exploratory fleets from Mars found plenty of these worlds, and it seemed the majority of them reverted to a similar state. Like King Arthur seeing Merlin himself, these feudal worlds welcomed the tech priests of Mars with open arms. The mutual relationship between the Admech and the nobility was beneficial. The Admech were able to secure more worlds for mining resources and potentially long-lost STC information, and the noble houses were provided with technological know-how and modifications from the Admech themselves. The suits became more and more specialized, and their history as mere pieces of equipment were lost to time. What was once
Oh.
a tractor became a killdozer, and the Imperial Knights were born. Unlike other military aspects in the Imperium, the nobility of the Knight houses remains just that, a nobility-focused feudal hierarchy that swears fealty to either the Mechanicum or to Terra. Like the Knights in our history, once they swear fealty, they can be called to aid their respective allegiance in the heat of battle. The ones that swear fealty to Terra are led by the High Monarch, while the ones with the Mechanicum are led by the Princeps. The ones with Terra might be sent directly to the front line of war, while the ones with the Mechanicum tend to be sent to protect the Forge world. And the heraldry of these houses is what you'd expect from a generic history of knights. Houses pledging allegiances here and there, your run-of-the-mill War of the Roses aesthetic. Except instead of ponies, you have gigantic death machines. These knights can't seem to be piloted by any old person, however. A member of the nobility of any given knight house must go through the ritual of becoming. This ritual involves them sitting on the device used to control the knight, known...
Are they like plugged into it? They have to be like conjoined? Think Pacific Rim? I don't know what that is. I'm thinking like Avatar when they touch their like tips together. Wait, that might be something else. Okay.
as the throne mechanicum for a full night. What's wrong with that? I mean, sitting in a chair for a full evening sounds pretty great right about now. So a pilot cannot drive a knight. They can, but it moves about as effective as Ripley from Aliens 2.
Oh.
You know, lifter thing. It is, in a sense, a beast that must be controlled, and a pilot must merge with it. The mind of the noble is connected to the machine and must fight with the mental signatures and personalities of the prior pilots as well. Everything a knight experiences in battle is...
Okay, so they basically have to attune to it. Like a D&D special item. They have to attune to it. They have to get attuned to it. Be one with it. Yeah.
felt by the pilot themselves, be it the general movement in the battlefield or damage sustained by the machine itself. If a knight's leg is blown off in battle, the pilot could experience a broken bone in the same spot. The merging to the machine forever changes the mentality of the noble that experiences it. This connection reinforces a strong degree of nobility and honor in the pilot, and a desire to fight for the glory of their house until the bitter end, as their ancestors' minds are linked directly to the knight. The size of these knights can vary, but generally speaking, they stand in the ballpark of 30 to 50 feet tall and are protected by a thick adamantium armor. Beyond that, they have their own unique ion shield generators that give them added protection, and when it comes to their looks, the most common pattern across the Imperium is the Questoris pattern, and is honestly the one you're probably thinking about right now. But there are also smaller versions like Armigers and bigger ones known as the Dominus. As for a loadout, these guys are essentially a violent Mr. Potato Head. Battle cannons, Gatling cannons, heavy flamers, thermal cannons, up close and personal, how about a gigantic chainsword or a straight up gauntlet? And for that empty spot up top, screw it. More autocannons, maybe add some missiles. Whatever you can do to make it as over the top as possible, you gotta do it. A squire serves a knight serves a lord serves a baron, and a baron serves a monarch. So who does the monarch serve? He serves every subject, from the rudest serf to the members of the court. Chivalric fealty, when ideally practiced, is not a pyramid, but a circle. Ironically, on the surface, night worlds themselves are one of the least grim-dark settings in the galaxy. Reverting to an ancient time with knights and peasants is almost an escapism from...
Yeah, it is kind of like an escapism. I'm like, this don't sound so bad. Sure, they have to like attune to a mech, like Evangelion. They could get their arms blown off and they can go insane, but that don't sound too bad. I would take that. I think that I would do that. That sounds better than anything else. The attunement can kill you. At least it kills you. It doesn't torture you as you die. Probably it might, but at least it just kills you.
The techno hell of the modern Imperium. But this, of course, doesn't make it great for everyone. It sounds fun on paper to play a game of knights, but it's not so fun when you're the peasant of that world. For the knights themselves, the knights give their entire lives to the throne mechanicum, and their reality is not their own, as they have to hear the voices of thousands of generations of their ancestors controlling their actions.
Oh, yeah, okay. That might make me go insane too. If I had to listen to the voice of my mother and my grandmother and my great grandmother and my great great grandmother and my great 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 grandmother and my great 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 grandmother all the time telling me I'm messing up and doing it wrong over and over and over again, I think I would go a little insane. I think I would go a little insane too. They will stop you from doing unhonorable acts or force fights. So I wonder, okay, they say that you have to, they are passed to nobility, but like, I wonder if any like noble from a different house, clan, family, planet, whatever, got put in a different knight, you know? Like, would their ancestors be mad, be like, hey, you're not one of us? Or would they not even attune to it? Oh, I would probably reject them. Interesting. That lobotomy is sounding pretty good right now. It would be rare but possible. I kind of want to write Warhammer fan fiction. Is that weird? Like, I don't want to write Warhammer fan fiction about like this right now. I think you could tell so many cool stories in this setting. Please do. We need more stories about knights. I'm doing it. I'm self-inserting myself as a knight, just so you know. And I'm going to be a Mary Sue, and I'm going to be super powerful.
And their lives for as long as they live. It's a strange dichotomy. When it comes to Warhammer, most to all jobs tend to be terrible. However, if there was one that could be considered enjoyable, it would be the pilot of a knight, or a princeps of their larger cousins. While it does contain
I know in Titanicus, there was a prince from a different Mechanicus house put into a Titan from a different Legios. The machine accepted him, but the crew had some growing pains. See, that makes a great story. I love that story already. I want to read that story. That sounds great. A lot of people write fanfics, and sometimes they're just as good as Black Library. It's a Black Library. Honestly, I'm a fanfic enjoyer myself. I've read some fanfics that are like masterpieces. Like, they're better than most novels I read. There's some really good fanfic writers out there.
An egregious amount of hardship to be a night pilot, you do enjoy a wealth of privilege. A night pilot is often an asshole who can back it up. The rich noble that, despite his braggadocious behavior, is still very much him, and he will continue to be him. But knights are not the only thing that the Imperium found lost in the stars during their Great Crusade. Due to the circumstances of the Age of Strife, humans were changing and adapting to their new homes they were now isolated on. Some of these humans evolved over thousands of years to adapt to these areas, and they were known as abhumans. Many abhumans found their way into the Imperial Guard or other lesser positions in the Imperium if they were not wiped out immediately for being too different from their human counterparts. But their abilities and appearance vary from planet to planet, and one particular group of abhumans have made quite a name for themselves in the center of the galaxy.
Oh! Votan? This is the new race? The new faction? Rock and stone to the bone!
The origins of what will be known as the kin start at some point during the Dark Age technology, where their ancestors left a planet that is very much Terra and went to the galactic core to mine it of its resources. They brought along with them everything that they would need for a long-term stay, most important of which were the incredible AI-based supercomputers. Be it guidance, technical or philosophical, schematics, or the ability to upload the memories of a deceased explorer to gather information from them, these computers became an essential part of their everyday life, especially considering that the galactic core is one of the most inhospitable places in the galaxy. It is an exceptionally star-dense location, full of abnormalities, black holes, and sentient hostile nebula. Whatever that last part means, it is not a safe and easy place to make a living, and this only got worse thanks to the warp storms during the Age of Strife. In order to adapt to this area, these travelers perfected a genetic makeup that made their future clones to be more adept to the area. These future clones would be shorter and more robust than their ancestors, and the need to procreate would be unnecessary because why risk messing up a good employee when you can just make a new one? These would be known as the squats, and they would all die, except for when they didn't. and now they are known by a different name.
Oh, okay, the squats. They were remade into the Votan. I see.
Most void-faring races have at least one cautionary tale of foolish explorers vanishing amidst its blazing stellar nurseries and strange anomalies. Yet for the leagues of Votan, the galactic core has been home now for millennia. These squat
Man, imagine living in a place called the Galactic Core. That's so cool. That's so cool.
humanoids would begin to establish themselves in the core, and their goals would be the same as their ancestors. Rock and stone! But like, actually kinda, yeah. Whenever one of them would die, they would know that that sucker would need to be uploaded to the machines like their forefathers did. But the original purpose of these machines was lost to time. What was once a technical resource for them turned into a ritual known as joining the ancestors. And the fact that they were clones at this point meant that the same copy of the same individual would be uploaded countlessly. The sheer overuse of these computers and the repeated uploading of redundant data has turned these once powerful supercomputers into your parents' computer after you installed LimeWire.
Oh my god, they're like they're like messing up the algorithm by messing around with it too much. That's kind of funny. Are they kind of like boomers?
Wire on it, and whose 50 Google Chrome tabs definitely contain information they will return to one day. So much corruption that these computers began to develop the makings of a personality of their own. These would be known as the Votan, and the kin, this dwarf-like abhuman of humanity, would revere them. The Votan still operate to this day, but the volume of corruption have made anything outside of their very basic functions highly unpredictable. They may not answer a question for centuries at a time, and if they do provide an answer or data, it has become so corrupted and so incongruent that it takes a literal kin wizard to comprehend it. The kin, much like the dwarves of fantasy, exist nowadays as a mercantile species that constantly work to—
Wait. Where did the kin come from? I got confused. The kin is a mercantile wizard that needs to help the Votan if they're too corrupted? They're the ones that came from Terra? The kin is just what the dwarves call themselves. Okay. The kin are the ones that were on Terra and they got evolutionized. Like human of evolutionized. The abhumans. The Votan are the corrupted computers. Okay.
to mine and manufacture. However, their capitalistic desires are dangerous. The biggest crimes a kin can face
Imagine capitalism being dangerous.
are being lazy, unproductive, and breaking a contract. Stellar conflicts have broken out over hundreds of years due to the breaking of a deal. So if you signed a contract with a kin, you best stick to it. Because of this, the kin have been known to interact with other species in a fairly common manner. This includes humanity, who have met various members of the kin multiple times, but constantly considered them to be all a different species. Famously, the Imperium noted that the kin they referred to as the Squats were their own species and were wiped out by the Tyranids. Little did they know, they were still around. The kin are acutely aware of two things. The first is that the humans of the Imperium are deeply terrified of technology. So the sheer existence of the Votan is a secret as well as the truth.
Yeah, they would go crazy if they knew about the Votan. Because they hate AI, and the Votan are just like, oh, we love that shit, yeah. Oh, it's a secret. Okay.
Extends also to the Iron Kin, sentient robots that are treated in the same esteem of flesh and blood kin, because kin is kin. The second thing they are aware of is where they're from. They are fairly confident that they are from Terra, and they know that if this secret was to be known by the Imperium, that the Imperium might want to take ownership of them and everything they've built. So the more alien they are, the better. Now, this sounds fine and good, right? What could possibly be wrong with these guys besides the to hyper late-stage space capitalism? Well, we have to go back to their creation. The kin are an entirely clone-based race, made from the computers that are exceptionally difficult to recreate. These machines, the Votan, are becoming more and more unpredictable and derelict. If anything were to happen to these machines, it would be a twofold ending of the kin. New kin cannot be reproduced, reducing their numbers, and the existing kin would have no further purpose, because the end that awaits them would be non-existent. The horror of the kin civilization is that the entire purpose of their lives is to do the best they can at their duty and upload all they know to the Votan, their ancestor cores, join their ancestors. But doing so is actually the thing that is killing these supercomputers in the first place.
Oh my god, they're destroying themselves! What? They're basically old boys that only have toxic yaoi. What? Oh man, this is like kind of blowing my mind a bit. This is a lot. The cloud is their heaven, but they're out of storage. What a great way of putting that. Dittersdorf. Okay.
The ancestors were dead, but through the first truths their legacy continued. And though their eyes had shut long ago, indeed the ancestors were watching, not with a gaze from eons gone, but with the eyes of every living kin. Each generation was the embodiment of the ancestors cast anew by the Votan. The galaxy changed. Stars died, planets were destroyed, and civilizations fell. But as long as the Votan endured, the ancestors still lived. I do want to end this last bit with an enjoyable quote from one Kim. As you may have assumed, the Leagues of Votan are space dwarves with a corporate sci-fi motif, but they are still very much dwarves. They're squat, they're strong as hell, and they hold serious grudges. This time it's just more about your contracts than anything else. And so because of this, they might treat most things about how you would expect a capitalistic dwarf would treat things. You misunderstand, human. I am not here to debate. I am not here to compromise. What you see as yours, I am taking for my kindred. Do you want to bargain? Torek, unholster our means of negotiation. As the Great Crusade continued, humanity would find—
What a great line. Unholster our means of negotiation. I kind of like them. They're kind of funny little guys. I need to learn more about them because my mind is a bit blown about the Votan, but they're cool. I love me a good dwarf. I love me some dwarves.
their missing Primarchs, re-establish the locations of all of their various worlds, and finally reclaim what the Emperor was always hoping for. But eventually, all the Emperor sought to build would be his undoing. His original attempt to have all of the Primarchs lead his great armies and usher humanity into the better ages would end up crumbling down. And we will learn about how the Imperium backslides and the horror of the modern day of 40K in part 2.
Oh!
I will see you very soon.
That's the end!
Thank you so much for watching.
Okay, that's the end. Wow, we didn't even get into all the Space Marine factions. The Votan are only a few years old in terms of tabletop life, so they're short on lore. Pun intended. Oh, I see. Well, there we go. That's part 1. That was a hefty part 1. That was a chunky video, 2 hours, and I just did the second half. Still waiting on part 2. I feel like that must take a lot of work to film, so hats off to Bricky. Thank you for the updated video. That was great. Wow. My head is trying to make sense of everything. I'm excited for part 2. I want to learn more about the Primarchs and their factions.